And we are live. Are you ready for our special guest tonight? I've been trying to get him on the live stream for a couple years now. I am so excited. We are hanging out with Mr. SHAWN SHEEHAN.
Wow. I don't think anyone's ever given me that kind
Oh,
of
whoops.
lead-in ever.
Oh.
Wow.
We're just missing the giant spark
That's impressive.
from WWE.
All those people over there, I didn't even see that you had a whole bunch of people in the studio audience. That's amazing. That's really cool. This is great,
Oh my gosh.
man.
Dude, I am so glad that you are here hanging out with us. Oh my gosh, I've been wanting to have you on forever. There is so much we could talk about with the and sorry for
No, I'm loving it. No,
the house
that's
fire going on.
Okay. I used to
um,
smoke. This is great. This brings back memories. Terrible memories. Kids don't smoke.
That's right.
So,
But my gosh, there are so many projects we've worked on. I'm not even going to talk about any of them except for one, because there's so much to talk about now. Like that's a whole episode doing a deep dive into all these amazing, but like old school stuff that we used to do.
Yep.
You have been such a secret sauce to my career.
not at all.
Oh my gosh, like I can't wait to chat about all the things. But first we have to make drinks. But first, even before that, you guys are watching the live stream lounge, and our special guest is Mr. SHAWN SHEEHAN. Do you remember when
I do remember that picture.
This is when the new building, when we walked through, and then I shared this, and naughty.
Yeah, they came down with an anvil, man. They were like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Oh, it wasn't a big deal. But we need to talk about James' outfit. James, what are you wearing today?
Well, let's see. Oh,
Whoops. Oh, sorry. Oh, I forgot to hold that.
you gotta hold the cord.
There we go.
All right, well, today I decided to go more of a inspired Mandalorian kind of like black panel gray kind of outfit.
Okay.
With we've got the Grogu on the hat.
Uh-huh.
We've got the Beskar steel kind of necklace.
For real, Beskar?
No, for real. That's actually folded katana steel. You can tell from the side where all the different layers.
Oh my gosh.
And does it not look kind of like the Beskar?
It does.
And
it does.
Kind of rep ALADDIN 3477.
Nice.
But to top off the Star Wars-esque with Mr. SHAWN SHEEHAN.
Look at this.
Deanna's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man,
Oh
I
my
recognize
gosh.
that.
Look at
Yeah.
would you look at
Would ya
this?
look at that.
That's nice. And do you approve of the this is the what kind of
the
enamel
hard
is this?
enamel finish.
Yeah.
It's
And
Where-
that's what you
beautiful.
like, right?
Yeah, the hard enamel
Okay.
finish is great. The soft enamel, I could go on a hard and soft enamel pin rant, but this ain't about that. It's about
No, that's
Awesome.
okay. I can make a lot of jokes about that too, but I'd probably get in trouble.
Yeah,
That is
we'll
a
keep
cool
We'll
pin.
keep it
I like
PG.
not the flashiest outfit, but I made sure to accessorize.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Well, first thing we need to do before we get the party started is we need to get the party started with drinks. So I've got all my old school glasses right behind
Oh,
you,
wow.
Sean.
Okay.
You get to choose
Oh,
what is
oh my
your
God.
your
Yeah.
weapon of choice. So I've got the
Oh
Star
my God.
Wars, I've got the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Battlestar Galactica, and E.T.
We just watched E.T. today.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Today, like during the day.
Literally today. So I
feel
in
like
honor of
that's-
Deanna picking that goofy movie.
Yeah.
And it was on Stars. So
Okay.
can I say any of this or am I allowed
Yeah.
to talk? Yeah.
Of course.
It was on Stars
Yeah.
and it was the old school version with the shotgun, not
Oh,
the camera,
no
or not
way.
the flashlight. It
Yeah.
was the old school. So I would say E.T. just because I
Yeah.
saw them today and I feel like it's kismet. So do I
Rock and roll.
just
Yeah, just
a
grab
glass?
whatever one you want. James, what are you
yeah.
feeling tonight? I'm gonna do some
Hmm.
Chewbacca.
I'll be right here. I think that's the right one to choose.
I'll go. I see the R2 on Tatooine.
I'm gonna get out of
I
your
got
way.
that good colored backdrop over there.
Yeah. Old school, 70s.
Excellent choice.
All right. So,
nice.
so Sean, how
Yes.
was your holiday?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was
Were,
good.
were you a good boy this year?
I was
You
in
scored?
the least amount of trouble as I usually am in. So
Okay.
I'm going to count that as good.
Okay.
So, Deanna puts up with me, and so does Lainey. So I
You want
can't
ice
ask
in your
for more than
coffee?
that. Yeah, I'll take ice. Yeah. Rock and roll. So the worst trouble I get into is breaking stuff around the house when I'm trying to fix things. That's about it.
Okay.
So, very excited. I'm not cool enough to wear that outfit. That's
That's a strategic
Because I-
approach,
you
though.
know.
I'm like, break it. Like, I tried to fix it. I'm like, you don't have to worry about fixing it anymore. I'm like, yeah,
yes, that's what
I'm
it
just
is.
bad at it.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh my
They
gosh.
plan the whole thing. That is exactly right. No, it's the thing that happens when you own a home. A lot of people know, especially nowadays when we're all trying to be smart with our funds. You know, you want to take care of the things you need to take care of. And I think I've learned more from YouTube, oddly enough, when it comes to home improvement than anything else over the past maybe 5 years, which is weird to say because I'm one of those people that's a big proponent of face-to-face, even though oddly enough, I teach a lot of classes almost like this. So it's seeing kind of how the methods we use, Matt, on the live stream and sometimes in the class. Do you do the hybrid thing with remote when you do that, or are you doing just like either?
I do.
Well, you
Well,
do,
I do.
right?
I do Zoom, but I
Yeah.
also have. I mean, I've got the videos. There's stuff for them to read.
Right.
It's kind of a mixture of everything.
Has that changed how like you take in information? Like when you see a video now, it does for me.
It's completely changed
know,
my.
Yeah.
I remember because I fought it for like before COVID,
Yes.
and I remember talking to you because we shared an office for a while.
Yep.
And I fought it like even doing the grade book. I was
Yep.
like, and I remember talking to you, and you were just like, "Bro, I'm just telling you it's better." And I'm like, "I don't know that it is." And you're
Yeah.
like, "Bro, I'm just telling you it's better."
Yeah.
And it is. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many things, and there's things that I didn't even think about. My classes were great before.
Yeah.
But there's so many things redesigning and rethinking through Canvas that I just like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, it would be, my class is good now, but it would be better if I did this and if I
Yeah.
did this. And continually, one of the things I love about it, before when everything was on ground, I was always assessing, always improving.
Yep.
But a lot of it was just up here, like, oh, next semester, we're going to do this. And then when it got to the next semester, would we actually do that?
Yeah.
If I remembered, yeah, but sometimes, oh, wasn't there a thing I was thinking?
Yep.
Next semester I would, and then I'd usually remember. But the cool thing about how everything's set up now, every single class, whatever worked well, whatever didn't, I re-update the master then,
Yep.
so that the following semester it's already updated with, you know, what I felt could be better or whatever. Anyway, real quick, for the first time ever, instead of Costco coffee, I brewed this myself.
Yeah.
It's cold brew coffee, and it's Snickers.
That's
coffee.
cool.
So here we go. So
Yay!
you're really straight up black.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah.
You made it yourself. All right.
Yummy. See, you can see the ET better this way. I like that. Yeah. Super cool.
And then James, do you need the extra shot, the extra espresso?
No, my pants just got 6 inches short because I hated the idea.
All right. We
Hey,
can work
to each
with,
his
we can-
own.
we can work with that. This is grind espresso. I don't know.
Oh my god! I thought you were kidding.
No,
Holy Lord.
little
And their own
little
bottle
extra.
for that.
Just
Whoa!
little zip. And then
Can't do that anymore. I don't think I ever could do anything like that, to be honest.
let's see. We do a little bit of James and I are doing just a little bit of Irish cream. I would love to be able to drink coffee just straight up black. You know what? That's a New Year's resolution of mine, to wean myself off of like creamer and stuff. If I could do that, that would be
That's-
amazing.
I'm not to tell you what to do, but it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I never knew until Deanna taught me. She's going to watch this and never let me live it down.
Yeah.
Yes, honey, I'm complimenting you again. She years ago, she still uses cream, which, okay, this is going to sound weird, but years ago, she started getting on me about, things that are related to health. We're both on, these health kicks, which is what
Yeah.
happens. You get to a certain age. I may, look 30, but I'm actually a couple of years older than 30 by about a couple of decades.
Huh.
So long story short, she's been the pioneer trying to get us into better shape. So we've looked for things to try and cut out of our routine without making them, big sacrifice, right? So for me, one of the things that I never really got into was coffee cream. So going without it cold turkey all the time was not that difficult because I didn't use it all the time. But people that I knew who did use it all the time did the same thing I did, and they noticed immediately when they started drinking coffee from places like Starbucks or even like Dunkin' Donuts that the flavor was better and that they could taste the coffee. Like when you drink coffee a lot, it's kind of like anything that has an overpowering not palate. What do they call it when there's like an alpha and or dominant and recessive flavors?
Okay.
I don't know the term.
You probably know all about that.
I mean, palate was close anyway. So.
We'll go with it. It's clear I've done a lot of research about this, right? Because I don't even know what words to use.
Yeah.
But long story short, there are certain flavors that are very dominant, and coffee cream, sugars. There's a lot of sugar in the coffee cream, and that blitzes your palate basically. The way that like strong flavors like garlic can blitz your palate. So
overstimulation easily.
Yeah, and when you put it off to the side, you notice a lot of things. And it didn't really dawn on me. It's gonna be a weird segue, but this didn't really dawn on me as much until I quit smoking as well. Which again, I credit that to Deanna. Years ago, we'd always knew we had to quit eventually. We were always trying to quit here and there, this, that, or the other. But finally, she kind of laid down the law in a good way for both of us. It was like, we're going to get this done. She did it first, like a pioneer, knocked it out of the park, total cold turkey. And then I followed up not too long after because I realized if she can do it, then I could probably do maybe not as good a job, but close. Right. So when I did that, I really noticed because nicotine does the same thing that like high impact flavors do. It blitzes your palate. Like we immediately started to taste things that we like hadn't tasted for years.
Yeah.
Coffee took on a whole new level for me because it was like, oh my God, now I know why it's called hazelnut because I can taste hazelnut.
Yeah.
Before it was like, coffee. This tastes like black coffee. Okay.
Well, speaking of flavor,
I
don't know if you want any in your black coffee or if the Snickers is enough, but here's the flavors I got.
The Snickers, see? Yeah.
So I have, these are all sugar-free, gluten-free, all the things.
Great, thank you.
But I have mocha glazed donut, salted caramel, salted caramel, thin caramel, peppermint mocha, and gingerbread cookie.
Do you have any salted caramel? No.
I do. Three different brands. This one's in a glass bottle.
You can taste the Snickers.
Oh man,
that's
fancy.
Wow. But
'tis the season. Hit me with that gingerbread.
The gingerbread.
There you go.
That's wild. You could have told me this dude was 28, and I was like, yeah, that checks. This lighting is
28 years on top of the 30. You're exactly right.
Frankly, this is a very flattering light for you. So just
must be.
Hold on to that and just remember this.
Do you want?
So can I have this light for my bathroom? Because when I get up in the mornings, I go. I don't know how anybody could mistake me for anything less than 75.
It's good to know that good lighting for you because in this industry, sometimes you just need to know. It's kind of like what your best facial shape is for your hairstyle, but 40-watt pink bulb, midsummer sunset. That's mine.
Nice.
We've got coasters. Attack on Show was here checking out the film, reviewing the film, and I got these sweet coasters that we're going to be using tonight. Did you want any extra flavor of any kind in your drink? Or are you good with the Snickers as is?
Perfect. This is excellent, sir.
All right. Well, with that, give a little mix here.
You are a Snickers connoisseur.
And we
it's
will.
Official.
All right. You can win the game with the queen. Better to win with the pawn. Tonight we're having fun hanging out with Sean.
Oh, hey, that rhymed.
I'll never know how we all.
Yeah. My name sucks to rhyme with too. That was good. That was impressive.
Whoa, dude! It's the glass. Snickers. I was going to say the peppermint, but it is the Snickers that I taste. Awesome. We've got a great show for you guys. We're going to get to some comments. Oh, we got a lot of comments. We're going to get to those soon, but for now, let's get the party started. it is. Hello, welcome to the live stream lounge. Awesome, cannot wait. So here is what's up today. Happy holidays. Oh my gosh. It was amazing. There is Fiji upstairs in the living room, I guess is what it is. And it was a great holiday. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. It was amazing. I was a good boy. Did you see my new sign up there? The on air live stream.
Got that? That's great.
Yeah, threw that up there. Just kind of adds to the vibe a little bit.
Nice.
And then also this holiday season, if you go to downtown Utica, you will see that a lot of the stores either have these flyers or the card shop has the poster, the half-size poster, but then at the studio, there's a giant 8-foot tall banner.
We saw that.
Really?
We saw. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to.
Oh, that's at the studio.
Yeah. We actually, Lainey was going with me. There's a store in Utica called Sergeant Red's. It's
Yeah.
a big old
Yeah.
vintage store.
Yeah.
Great place. John and Dee are awesome. So
Yeah.
we're going there because I finally talked my daughter into going with me. She loves all that stuff too, but you know, it's like
Yeah.
there's levels, right? And she's
Sure.
a very busy person. She's working on her master's degree, so she's got stuff. So it's rare when I can steal her away
Yeah.
to have like a quick little outing, you know, like a little daddy daughter time. So we're driving down Cass,
Yeah.
and we're just, and she knows you obviously, and she knows
Yeah.
about the movie, and we're talking, and she saw, I don't remember if she saw the magazine that day when I was cleaning my office, but I had the really cool behind the scenes that you did. It was that you had
Official collector's
full
edition.
color pages.
Yeah.
It was a really awesome book. So big poster, and I'm pretty sure that was the same poster or a
Okay.
similar image to what was there. You could see.
They had it Sergeant Red's?
Yeah, well,
Awesome.
no, it
Oh.
wasn't there. It was on the. It was on one of the buildings, probably the card shop. I think it was that
Okay.
place.
Yeah.
Because we're driving down the street. What? You know, Lainey's like, "Oh my God, there's Matt." I'm like, "Huh?" And it's a 2-lane road. So
Yeah.
immediately it's we're turning into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. The scene. I'm in the other lane practically. So we were fine. Everybody was fine. But we tried to get back to it, but they were having some kind of an event on Utica, so we couldn't get back down that way. But I thought I was going nuts because I'm like, you can't be Matt,
Yeah.
because she saw you, like we didn't, or not you, she saw the poster and thought that was the, Eric,
Yeah.
like was there. And I'm looking for the person,
Mhm.
like, so I only hit like 4 kids.
Yeah.
So it was after Christmas. So they got a good day.
Yeah.
It was fine.
So,
So-
nothing, of course, is important than family. So incredible.
Hey.
Oh, look at that smile. My gosh.
I
My
know,
world right there. Okay, so Fiji Fridays. Some people were incorporating Fiji into Elf on a Shelf, which is amazing. And the Fiji Friday, I did this last time. My friends are in Boca Raton, so I revisited Fiji, hanging out in Boca. Although the weather's been pretty mild here, which is new videos on the Aladdin 3477 YouTube. There's a great What is Aladdin 3477 video. You should check that out. One quick plug for my brother who just released a new app for iPhones and iPads. It's called Focus Dial, and it's really cool, especially if you struggle with time management or if you have like any kind of anxiety about I think these days it's hard when you've got a phone in your face. How do you set aside, if you want to have this much time a week where you're learning to play the guitar,
Sure.
or this much time of the week on some other project? It's a really cool way to kind of dial in, no pun intended, different things, and you can arrange it for anything, whether it's business related or anything.
That sounds awesome.
It is really cool. It's well worth the few bucks. And
That was an official dad joke too, because you're a dad now.
I
You
know.
made a dad joke.
I don't know if I'm getting
that's
really
fair.
good at it,
Yeah.
but or
You'll get there.
That's
I'm
another
getting
skill.
there. Yeah.
That goes on the CV. That's awesome.
So
Oh God!
we are
that's
hanging
me.
out. We're hanging out with Shawn Sheehan. I'm so glad you're here. So many things that we could chat about. The only thing I wanted to share with people really quick, because I thought it was a cool visual, is we have done so many projects together. Oh, I put it in here. including this.
Yeah.
And I was going to find, so this is a comic book that we co-illustrated. I did one of the covers, and I couldn't find the cover that you did. You did one of the exclusive covers. This was so much fun. I remember when JC Vaughn contacted me, he was like, hey, I've got a new thing for a book. Do you want to do it? I'm like, dude, I don't have time. There's just no way. He's like, well, can I tell you about it? I'm like, you can tell me about it, but I'm just, there's just no way. He said, okay, the art style would totally be Frank Miller's Sin City. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And then, but the vibe though, it actually would be a cross between maybe Danger Girl, but it would really be, did you ever see this show on in the 80s called Moonlighting? And I was like, stop. I love that show. I'm like, I'm in. But we did this together. And so half the pages you did, half the pages I did. And it's cool because they're interspersed. So it's not like I did the first half and you did. And it's hard to tell who illustrated.
Well,
what
that's
pages.
very nice of you to say. But I mean,
And we just had so much fun. And I really love, the whole thing where we really channeled our inner Frank Miller, where everything is shapes. And so you're not outlining everything like you normally would with a comic book. And that was just I thought that was so exciting to do, and doing like positive, negative, and, dynamic shapes that like kind of reveal images was just so fun. Just so cool.
A lot of fun. There was a lot of Frank Miller inspiration. I mean, I remember you had the, what was it? The Hard Goodbye? The one with Marv, I think. Because I remember that was one of the first times that I read that all the way through. So I think you let me borrow it, and I was just blown away. It's funny. One of the models, because for that you did the Alex Ross approach. Where,
we had model images for everything.
We had a couple of people here and there that were posed just so that you could kind of understand anatomy, figure out where you're going to place people, blocking. Because again, Matt's painting a rosy picture, but he literally had no time at all. And he was trying to do, it was J.C. Vaughn, right? Yeah, he was trying to do him a solid, like, let me help this guy out. So it was like, you know what, why don't you help me with this? I think you're okay enough to be able to manage this, which was very nice of him to allow me to help him out on that project. But we split up the pages, and Matt had already in his head, because he's done this before. By that point, you had like, what, 3 or 4 comic properties, right?
Probably, but nothing like this. One of the things that attracted to me was it was so different, like black and white, and on purpose. Frank Miller, like I had no business doing something. I was so busy at that time, but it was just such a unique project. It was so fun.
You were doing all the we can talk about all this stuff, right? Like there's no embargo. You're doing the Witchblade. Oh yeah, you're working on too. I don't want to say anything that gets like.
Hey, no. We can talk about it.
Every time you say that word, that's $1,000, buddy. Whatever the case may be. But that was a lot of fun. I ended up using a couple of people that I worked with for posing. Like there's the book is about a murder. There's a guy who commits suicide, so the team thinks, or they're told. And that guy was my buddy Lyndon. And I had him stand on a chair in the middle of our conference area to try and make it look like he was hanging.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm art directing him.
Yeah.
And he's one of these guys, Lyndon Vennard, super beautiful, wonderful guy. Easiest person to talk to. Like, can you stand? He didn't even know what I was asking him to do or why he was doing it. I'm just like, I need a favor. Can you stand in that chair? Yeah, man, no problem. I'll get in that chair. Can you look like you were just hung? Yeah, no problem. I can look like, and somebody in the hallway walked by and go, why the hell is Lyndon on a chair looking like you're hanging him?
Oh my
and then he was like, I was kind of wondering why I'm doing this. Is this? Oh, is it it's for an art thing? Yeah, whatever, man. That's fine. Okay, so like this, like he just was easy to work with.
Yeah.
Then we also needed a cop, right? And I'm like, who better than my father, who retired from Detroit Police years ago?
Gosh,
so I'm like, hey, I need a cop to play a cop. This should be pretty simple.
Yeah.
And at the time, my dad was goofing around with community theater, right? And I don't know if you can tell, but I am, born with the gift of gab, just a smidge, just a tiny little bit. And I think I get it from, my mom and my dad.
Okay.
The good parts I get from my mom. The parts where people want to walk away with their, hands covering their face, I attribute that to my dad's side of the family, because the whole time, like, just stand still and you take a quick picture. you know, because he had the gear still. He still had his badge. He still had, like, you know, his service revolver. He, you know, when I told him about this, it's like, I know exactly what to dress like. I used to be a detective. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's why I'm asking you, but great. So he brought all his gear. He had a loaded gun. He let me shoot it. No, I'm kidding. But he brought his old revolver empty. It wasn't loaded.
Yeah.
And the whole bit. And he's got all this stuff on. And I'm like, all right, so stand here. I'm going to take a picture because I just need it for reference purposes. It's all we were trying to get.
Yeah.
Were like poses and blocking features and things like that. And long story short, 2 or 3 hours rolls on by. I haven't clicked the camera once. And this isn't like where you could just pull out a, you know, cell phone and just, you know, go through your Rolodex of pictures that you might have. There he is right there. You know, all these pictures, you had to kind of pose people, you know, and then you had these actual cameras that you were doing that with. It was a whole thing. So having that plus trying to get him to not be, you know, like the rest of us in the family, right? Put the gift of gab aside, Pop. Just close this and, you know, just stand still, click, you know. It was fun.
Speaking of Gab, we've got some comments. Brittany Voigt. Hi, Matt. Hi, Sean. What is up, Brittany?
Hey, I know Brittany.
DTS, what up, dudes? Notifications didn't evade me tonight. Awesome. James Rules, what is up? Jeff Norgrove, thanks for hanging out with us. Brittany Voigt says, nice outfit, James. Marilyn Michelson, hi, guys. What is up, Marilyn? Oh, my God, those are cool. Maybe the glasses, maybe?
Well, definitely.
I'm a little behind.
Are cool.
Oh,
They are cool.
I'm at the hospital with Tim.
This is very awesome.
Right now, and he says, hi, Matt.
Away.
Oh, my gosh. Hello to both of you. I hope you guys are doing good. He's just recently been able to talk. I am so glad to hear that. Oh, my gosh. Best wishes for both of you. And, man, my thoughts and prayers have been going out to both of you guys and your family. But my gosh, thank you guys for watching. Crockett coffee is really good. Try it. I don't think have you guys had Crockett coffee?
I'm gonna try it. Thank you.
Rob, what is up? We are rocking out with our Attack on show.
Yeah.
Coasters. Thank you for coming out and thank you for hanging out tonight. Marilyn Michelson, hello. Awesome. I see you guys. All right. Hi, Jeff. I see you guys chatting. Awesome. You can't appreciate a nice cup of Joe if you don't drink it black. It's my mission this year to make the switch. He's on. Hi. Oh, that is awesome. Oh my gosh. Fruit Loop is hanging out. Hello. Original McDonald's Grimace. Man, I would, but it's already filled. A lot of people have been offering.
All right, time
like
to double fist, Matt.
Dude, Smurfs. Like I would love to have Smurfs, but I just don't have the room. Oh my gosh. Sean Sarcona, Bo's First Christmas. What is up? MACA represent.
Yay.
Robin, that's such a cute picture. Aw, thank you for hanging out tonight. Too cute, Incredibo. Yeah, there's Incredibo, is Irresistible.
I love Incredibo. That's awesome.
There's a few of them. Adorable.
That's amazing.
Interfleet Broadcasting. Hey, what is shaking? Let me know when you guys are going live with that podcast, so I can tell people about it and I can promote it. Thank you for hanging out tonight. Very cool app. Thank you, Marilyn. Yeah, it is a really cool app.
That is.
When is Android version coming? My brother is all about but he's just a single cat, so he's really into the iOS development. But to do Android is just completely different software.
It's a whole new development cycle.
If he was a company and he had like different teams doing, he would be able to do that. But
fine.
Probably not. Probably not.
I'll go do it.
Yeah, probably not anytime soon. I love you guys. Once he's older, he can become more predictable.
Nice.
That's great.
I'm not writing these down. Well, it's recording.
I know. I feel like I should be. All right, so we need to take a look at some of the work that Shawn Sheehan does. I have this split into 3 segments, just so you know.
Any way you want to do it.
So, oh my gosh. So, man, there's so many cool things that you do. And one of the things is digital illustration. And we'll get to some more of that. But check out, oh my gosh, Breaking Bad.
Ooh, nice.
The Office. This is so amazing with Dwight.
The best.
Love it. And then I love you shared a bunch of these. We're going to go through a lot of these tonight, but your process, I love that your process for doing digital art really is kind of the same as traditional art, where you're kind of penciling it, probably getting approvals, and then you're doing the line art, separating all of your contrast, and really going in and getting awesome edge control with like thicks and thins. And then you've got the beautiful, color piece at the end of it, which is just amazing. So there's so many different things that you do, but I think really to show how you can do it, I just realized recently, and I feel bad, Sean Sarcona is probably watching this, and he's been on here a number of times, but
he's awesome.
I've always known that I can do video, but I just looked at the stats really quick, like, oh, it has to be less than 2 minutes, has to be under 200 megabytes. Like, man, that's a lot of work and dumbing things down. So I kind of haven't done it until like 2 weeks ago. I kind of looked into it a little bit more and like, that's not that hard to kind of adjust things.
Yeah.
So I feel bad because he's been on a couple times, probably had lots of cool animation stuff and students, and I've just been like, no, you get pictures. That's it. Whatever. So we'll next time, Sean, just so you know, we'll have more video. But check out this awesome motion reel from SHAWN SHEEHAN.
Yay! Who did that?
It was so dynamic.
Oh, I know.
The students loved it.
No, he's got a real. We were talking about Matt's videos, since we're showing videos that he does at Macomb Community College for the students that he teaches. During the pandemic that shall not be named, the process was real weird, trying to figure out how to communicate all this information. And everybody was kind of forced at first to develop their own, formula, their own secret sauce, their own recipe. And Matt really, I think, took that to heart. And if you've seen, I'm sure a lot of you have checked out other parts of the YouTube channel. If you haven't, you should look at Matt's class videos. They're a lot of fun. They're well produced. I mean, the work in, setting up all those shots, even the impromptu, like outdoor stuff, people don't realize how hard that is to be able to prep and plan for.
Well, part of it was just not having a classroom. It was just like,
yeah,
I literally
Yeah.
bought, and thank you, Amazon, I bought a giant dry erase marker board.
Yeah,
that I would literally.
I thought you took it from Macomb. I thought you
No, I got one. I just got one from Amazon and had that in the living room. And then there were certain days let's just take the dry erase marker board outside, literally in the backyard, with trees and everything.
Because that had that school feel. And Matt, Matt's a very smart person. He knows what he wants.
They're engaging. The videos have showmanship.
Which speaks to the movie, that's coming out very soon.
And James was so helpful making all of those videos.
Yeah, I held a camera, so that's my profound contribution.
That's a huge contribution, man.
I'm curious for demo reels. We just watched your motion reel, which was amazing.
Wow.
So
Thank you.
before all of this, and you were one of the early, like back in the day, before I think the term motion designer was even a thing, you were very early on rocking the After Effects. I don't want to say before anyone, but like now it's this whole industry, and you were one of the early adopters to it. But I'm curious, for people that are, like, everyone knows what a portfolio is, and I talk with my students a lot about, different tips for a good portfolio. I know there's a lot of similarities, but also differences for a demo reel. Can you speak to some of the things that what makes a really good motion reel or demo reel for either animation? Sometimes artists don't even really do movement, but like any kind of demo reel, what are some tips that that people can do to make something beautiful like that can really move people?
Well, the first thing I'll say is demo reels themselves. There's, we use the term kind of the way that doctors use the term doctor, right? If you go into medicine, there's a whole, subclass of different disciplines that are a part of the medical industry. So if someone says they're a doctor of something, or they're a doctor that specializes in something, or they have a term, like, an OB, right? OBGYN or something along those lines, because it's a term, right? Doctor of medicine is not something that you hear beyond maybe in movies or television. It's like when the, guest goes up to the bar and they order a beer, right? Nobody does that. They walk into a bar, they order a specific brand or type of beer, flavor, whatever you want to call it, long story short. Demo reels are the same thing. When you start to think about what you want to do in motion, it's just like being an artist on the board, right? We were looking at inkings earlier, right? Black and white illustrations that, Matt and I worked on. I was fortunate enough to work on with Matt. That's one kind of art versus the kind of artwork that, you see on the cover of, this beautiful comic book here, right? And this was done one way, the art on the inside was done another way. Okay, so a person's portfolio, let's say a sequential artist would show a whole bunch of sequential storyboard style illustrations similar to what you would see on the inner pages, if that's the kind of work she or he was going after. A cover artist or a pinup artist would show artwork that's more the full color variety, like this cover. And demo reels are the same. When you think about the type of animation that you want to work on or visual effects that you want to work on, you want your reel to have those aspects first and foremost, right? If I'm a motion designer, and incidentally, what's funny about what you said earlier, that term didn't exist when we were breaking into it. Just like,
I know,
like my generation's the first generation of people that will retire as, using the term motion designer if they, go that far in the industry. Like there's never been, this was a whole brand new industry that kind of popped up out of nowhere. It's like the airbrushed artists that were kicking it in the 70s. It was the same kind of thing for them.
Literally hearing that term for the first time right now.
Yeah, well,
motion designer.
It's not an old term. I mean, depending on how you define old, right? If you look at a career over the course of 40 years, the term is younger than that. Okay, but anyways, you would find what you like, what you enjoy doing. That would be the primary focus of your demo reel. So if you wanted to make visual effects, then you would need visual effects shots, okay, and a lot of them, right? Any reel that you make nowadays shouldn't be any longer than a minute, okay, which seems like no time at all, and it isn't, and that's exactly why, because you want the most viewers, you want the most views, you want people to take in the most amount of information with the least amount of time invested in doing so, which makes most students, when we talk about this, a little bit angry, and rightly so, because they go, "Whoa, wait a minute, what? You can't spare more? So it's 1:10. You can't spare 10 seconds extra to check out all my hard. I was sweating over here. Like, I don't know why I'm becoming New York.
Yeah.
I sound like I'm on the Law and Order show or whatever. See, I am getting old because I put the in front of the title. That's when you know you're getting old. When the word "the" starts showing up everywhere,
or when you pluralize every store you go into, like Myers and
yes,
Kroger's.
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Crap! I do that. Oh no.
What's interesting is a lot of that, I think, is there's so many rules that are very similar to portfolios. So for a portfolio, you only want to have maybe 10, 13 images at the most. And a lot of my students say, yeah, but I really want to have this extra piece. Shows that if it's not one of the best 13, get rid of it. It's too much. It's always better to have them wanting more than to exhaust them with, how much longer is this going? You know what I mean?
Quality over quantity, yes. 110%.
Absolutely.
Always. Steve Savali came to the college, and he said his latest reel, and for those that don't know, and a lot of people probably don't, Steve Savali is one of the premier motion designers in the biz working right now. If there was ever a time when that title became canonized, let's say in the dictionary, a picture of Steve would be right next to that definition, because he is what a motion designer is. He is motion design, and he's a sweetheart of a person, best person you'd ever want to meet and work with. He's just all around doll.
Yeah.
He came to the college and gave a rousing speech, talked to all of our students that showed up for the event, and did an amazing job. When he talked about reels, he was working on his, and he said this, and I'm glad that he did, because he should. His latest reel is 30 seconds. And he's like, look at me, look at what I do. And I'm saying that 30 seconds for me is long enough. So what do you think you jabronis have that tops what I've got here that's
awesome.
That's going to command more time than that?
I appreciate that jabroni's still a word.
I may have added that just to, and I'm saying that for Steve in case he doesn't like that word. You know, I may have embellished it.
I need to get Steve on here. And Steve has such a great story because, and I don't know if I don't think I've heard him share this, but when he went through our program, he was a traditional cat drawing and painting. But the funny thing was, at the time, he was anti-digital. I don't know if he wants people knowing that. He refused to take Photoshop in these classes. Well, he went to CC. He ended up taking as many as he could. Then he went to CCS, hated CCS he didn't even finish a semester, came back and said, fine, I'll take this stupid Photoshop. Wow, this is really cool. And then, fine, I'll take this after.
You know
this is really cool.
To be fair though, to Steve, you and anybody, because same thing. Like a lot of us, when I got into the computer, it was because I didn't have a choice. My first job I got, and I've told students this story all the time because it's what happens to everybody at some point. I built a portfolio, and without going into particulars, it was full of traditional art because I'm more than a few years old. So when I started out, you know, we were making art on the board. There was no digital art. There was art, and you made it, and it was on the board, and that was that, unless you had it shot and turned into transparencies or slides. So big old portfolio from, Macomb. Started going on interviews. Deanna, my wife, got me my first interview through a contact of hers. That's her being selfless again. God, she's not going to let me live any of this down, is she? This is how I talk about you when I'm talking to students. I'm in student mode right now, so you should be very happy with me. I deserve an extra piece of chicken at the next dinner. But long story short, everything we did was traditional, right? So the first interview that I got, this real interview that Deanna helped me get, I had 3 or 5, I can't remember which, digital pieces. And it was because Brian Sorial, who's the real pioneer, was like, you need to take some of these classes. And back then the software really did suck. You could not make a cool illustration, let's say, the stuff that you put up of mine, for instance. You couldn't make that back then, not really, not digitally. You did that traditionally. You did the stuff. People like you existed. So how do you make artwork on a machine that's not designed to do what you do? How do you make that happen? And that's what a lot of people spent years figuring out. And that's where it is now. But then it wasn't like that. I had maybe 3 pieces that I thought were okay, maybe 3 to 5, doesn't matter. First job interview, meeting with Candice Milazzo at MSX International. Wonderful lady. Looks at the whole thing, starts going through the book, and maybe gets 3 pages in and stops and goes, you know what? Flips to the end. Oh, because at the very end is where I had the digital art. And she recognized, apparently, I don't know how, but she did. You did this on the computer? Yeah. And do you have any more of this? And me being the clever person that I am, I said, well, not here. Not anywhere. That's all I have. And I figured, well, I'm not going to, she likes this maybe. So I'm going to maybe pretend that I got more somewhere. Okay. Tell you what, come back in a month and we'll get you set up and, blah, blah, blah. You're going to be working for us. We needed another technical designer. You'll be working on the computer though. And I'm like, this all sounds, what did you say? You're going to be on the computer. You're going to be one of our first techs working as a digital artist here at this company. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no problem, because I'm totally prepared for this. And I walked out, probably took at least one dump before I got in the car, got home. Is this too personal? Got home, ran right to Circuit City. For those people that know, that's how old I am. Picked up a Power Mac. If Circuit City didn't tip you off saying Power Mac, probably did.
Yeah.
Brought that home, had Macs for Dummies, the actual book, Macs for Dummies. And for 2 months, that's all I did. Every single day, go to work, come home, go through the book, tutorials, everything. Because the computer was not where I wanted to live. I wanted to be an artist. And back then, there was no such thing as buying a computer and making art, let alone animation. Animation wasn't even like Pixar was the only company that did anything close to what anybody wanted to do. And it was 3D back then, which now it sounds silly because you can get Blender for free and run it on a laptop. Hell, you can run apps on your phone now and make awesome stuff. You can make 3D movies on your phone to a certain extent. Procreate, right? I mean, you can make animation with Procreate on your phone practically. Then this was all just mythology. None of it was possible. So if you were an artist, you wanted to be where the action was. So you, Steve Savali, everybody, that was talented. Steve was extremely talented on the board. Somebody like yourself who was already, working like crazy, making fun, cool Star Wars illustrations and blowing my mind. That's where you want to live, right? So it took a long time for the computer to kind of morph into the device that you could use the way that we kind of use it today. It was never like this. Even the things we're doing right now. Yeah. This is literal science fiction. Like this is the stuff that we would imagine as kids would exist in the future, and it's now here. But you see it today, and if you don't have that context, it's just like, yeah, man, whatever. Maybe I'll set up a live stream. Like it's just a thing that exists. So, but I always find that funny. And when I talk to students, I always have to remember that because they don't come at it the way that we do. Like when you say, not that you said that, but when Steve, let's say, says, well, I fought the computer at first, it sounds weird to somebody today because they go, but you're on the computer, you make all your money there. Like when he was talking to our students, you could see people like, where's he going with this? Because they just couldn't like make the circuit bridge. It was just above their pay grade. Like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. This guy, how can he's a hypocrite. And it's like, no, back then you were lucky if you could make a smiley face, like the Forrest Gump face. Whatever that thing was.
Well, we're going to transition to some Aladdin stuff that you worked on. But first, we got some comments. Anthony Lafana says, hey, what is up? Ciao. Sean Sarcona says, I'll prep. Awesome for having some video next time.
Yay.
Sean Sarcona says, beautiful work. Amazing. Anthony Lafana says, way too much patience for me to be able to do. Wish I could, though. It's just like anything. It's just like learning it, taking the time to learn, to go through the chops. It takes time, but anyone, if you put in the elbow grease, I feel like anyone can do it. Fantastic reel, says Dave Todd.
Thank you.
Hello, gentlemen. What's up? Thanks for hanging out, guys. That is John from the Inner Fleet Broadcasting podcast I was just on. Fruit Loop, I had so much fun putting together my own demo reel in Sean's portfolio class.
Yay.
Awesome. James Easterly says, Myers.
Hey.
Deanna Sheehan says, hello, fellas. What is up?
Stop listening.
Dave Todd says, I feel like the extra S is a Michigan thing. Yeah, like Kroger's. I don't remember it before moving back here. Also, it's not age specific. I've heard people say Ford's, Walmart's. Oh, my gosh. Deanna says, aw, thanks. DTE says, Blender is the boss. Yep. Durgan says, we doing shots? Sure. Absolutely.
Wait, right now?
I don't know. I put a shot in your coffee already, but if you need another one, I can't do. I'm getting too old for shots.
There you go. What happens with another shot?
I smell a shot, and wearing a lampshade on my head. So maybe that's worth doing. I don't know.
DTE says paint on Windows 3.1. Great times, right?
Yep.
Anthony Fauda says, I want to learn Blender, though. Been watching videos on it. Nice. And I guess to preface, there's a guy I watch on YouTube who does outdoor nature survival and whatnot. I would never do it, but it's really great to watch, and the information is helpful, caught in the elements.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to transition into some Aladdin here. So there's a lot of different things that you did. You were so helpful because there's a lot of stuff that I tried to do myself, and if I could ever do something and like, wow, that looks good, I would do it. But there was so much stuff that was way over my head that I knew I couldn't do or tried to do, and then I was like, hey, Shawn.
Yeah,
and so Shawn is that you'll see when you see the movie on Friday. Shawn is the visual effects coordinator. So Shawn handled the most critical, most complicated shots in the film. Some of the stuff we farmed out to like Nick Garlock, who handled a bunch of stuff.
Nicholas Garlock, that gentleman.
Yeah, so he rocked out some stuff.
He really did.
So hoping to get him on the live stream at some point. And then
Jeff helped us.
There's a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, that's right. Jeff. Mogi.
Yep.
And then
hey Jeff.
What is up, Jeff? And so anyway, so I wanted to chat a little bit about the Aladdin logo. I had kind of the basic font, but it was never in like what I really wanted it to be. So I tasked you with not only recreating the final logo that would have the gritty gold and everything, but also to be able to create it in motion. We're going to look at some of the motion things in a couple minutes, but walk me through the process. And then here's actually a final shot. When you see the logo kind of moving in frame, you'll see some of this in a second here, but what are your thoughts behind this? What are you thinking when you kind of build type? We're going to look at some of your cool examples of type later too that are 3D, but what's the process here?
The process for this was actually very similar to the process for the McCandless book, believe it or not, because a lot of people don't realize this. There's a lot, the computer can do all sorts of things that are amazing and wonderful, but just because the computer can doesn't mean the computer will, right? So Matt mentioned before that he and I shared an office. So we got a chance to, years ago, get very comfortable working together because Matt's just awesome to work with. And I was fortunate enough to help him on a few things. Nothing major because he doesn't need that kind of help. It was utility type stuff. And it was a lot of fun because I really admire the work that he does. So years later, when we shared an office, we already had a rapport. And long story short, in those office chats, when we were talking about this process, we were able to kind of workshop what he was looking for, because like Matt said, he had a vision for the logo intro that he wanted. It was just a matter of making that vision a reality for everybody. And that's where there was a technical gap between what he knew and what he needed, long story short, which is typical for any process. Doesn't matter if it's a big budget movie. People like Spielberg don't know all the ins and outs. Even J.J. Abrams, who's an actual After Effects nut, uses the software all the time.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. He actually, that's how he found. There's a guy by the name of Andrew Kramer who I've talked about a lot, and it's funny because the software, one of the packages I used to set up that logo was created by Andrew Kramer, and it's a plugin for After Effects called Element 3D. He was actually found by J.J. Abrams because he used to have a blog called Serious Effects when he used to work on the Creative Cow website. So going back damn near decades, actual decades, when this was just a thing that people did for fun. Kramer was into movies, and this is related to what I was going to say with the portfolio tip. He followed his passion. He wanted to be in movies, so he tried his damnedest to make visual effects. He hired his own talent. He put him in front of green screens. He figured out how to make a studio. He did all these really cool things in After Effects. He caught J.J. Abrams' eye. Abrams used to watch his Serious Effects tutorial videos, and then when he became video co-pilot, he hired him. He made the fringe opening for that show.
Oh my
gosh.
He worked
on Lost. He worked on Star Trek. The closing credits for Star Trek, the first movie and the second movie, are all Andrew Kramer with the same software that we use to make the Aladdin lettering intro that you see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So that tool was because of that. But the talks that we had about what, was going to happen, the timing, the look, like when he mentioned tarnished gold, like he already knew what he was going for. And that's important. You can't, the computer, and especially in the age of AI, you have to know what you want. You can't just, I'll just go to the computer, I'll type some words as I bump stuff. And that'll give me what I need. And that's not how anything works. Like you have to, just like if you were on the board, you have to know what you want. You have to have the skills to get there. And that's kind of where we started. You knew what you wanted. We had a number of discussions about it. And that led us to a point where I literally couldn't go wrong. Like I couldn't make a mistake. I knew what it needed to be. It was just a matter of making the logo look the way that it looked.
Yeah.
You can't just sit there and type a bunch of prompts and claim it as your
Exactly. You can't just say, make it cool. And then boom, there's something fun.
So what I wanted to share real quick, this is something no one has seen, but you and I, and this is some early test renderings of the logo, trying different things. And we hadn't even locked the movement yet, but we were trying different things with the lighting, with the sheen. And I wanted to have something that would be universal for everything. But some of the complications were we wanted the cool flashy sheens, but when it landed, it had to be something that could work because I was going to use it for print. So it had to be something that would work against a dark background and a light background. So there were some different things that we were like trying to just, try to figure out. Anyway, it's really cool seeing these. So check these out. There's no sound to this. You won't be able to hear us during this, but I'm curious which one is it. Do you remember? Is there 4 of these on this one?
I think there's 5,
There might
but
be
a couple
5?
of them look similar.
Okay. So check these out. And I'm curious if you guys, if any of these leap out to you as, we should have done that one instead, because some of these have such a cool sheen where you really can see like the textured gold and stuff. And it's just,
it's the dusty one.
It's so cool. So check these out.
That was so much fun. Yeah, I forgot about these. This was in the thing. Yeah, cool.
That was
the Abrams lens. I love like
very Abrams. Though, you're
love
right.
the.
Like, that was. I was ripping off something there. I think I saw the Star Wars. I don't know what I saw. It was like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that.
Oh, they're so nice and textury. Yeah, that's all.
Yay!
So there's a lot of things that you helped out with where it wasn't always okay. So this film, for the most part, is in-camera effects, and there's a lot of practical, but there's a lot of compositing and green screen. The thing that I really like about it is most of the stuff you're looking at, unless it's like a light or a glowing eye or a hologram that's obviously digital because it has the the moving pieces and everything. Everything that you're looking at is real light and shadow. Doesn't mean it was all filmed at the same time because it's composited in, but it's got this really cool vibe. So this was a challenge because we actually had all of this together with the Darshana, which was already so complex, part remote control, part lighting, part actress, part puppeteering, and then compositing to do the different arms. Well, the problem was the set that we built, it's kind of this temple set, it's relatively small. And because it has the really strong amber lighting, we had a green screen behind the Darshana, but because it's not very big, we didn't have room to light it separately with white light because that would have affected that. You would have seen that all over the place. So the problem was that was lit with the amber light. So now our green screen had a really strong amber. So basically the green screen did nothing. So it meant you went in, because keying it was just kind of impossible. So you went in frame by frame, every single shot and cut out.
I got lucky in parts. Like it was a mixed job. And the one thing I'll say about the scene, it's a really cool scene. There's like 4, I think, separate. I don't want to. Am I
it's
giving
between
away,
2 scenes.
No, you're not giving away.
No.
And then at the end, when there's like 4 like separate scenes where you see this character on screen. And the tricky part, like Matt said, was there were several shots for each character for the different arm poses, right? And you had to make the character look like the arms were, attached and, part of the character. So there was some tracking, there to kind of make sure that everything lined up a little bit. But long story short, there was some of the green screen shot was usable. It's one of those things where, like Matt said, it was just, I don't want to say it was a bad day, but I'm going to use the term, it was a bad day. That's what they say on set. This is why most movies, like what's Captain America's budget now? Like the national debt, right? It's like 1 billion or something crazy because they keep having to reshoot things. This is why movies have reshoots. This was something, Matt's an independent filmmaker. So it's like, well, shit, I don't know. I can't bring like he said, he had like, special actors to do everything. And then it was the day and the set has to get torn down because a new set goes up. And again, with big budget movies where all this capital's lying around, you can say, I need these people for another week. I need the studio for another week. Push that production out until next month. Yeah. It was do or die. So whatever you got, that's what you had. So I say that because when we looked at the footage here, I kind of looked at it, I'm like, can you reshoot this? And it was not because it wasn't a great effort. It was because I knew, that's going to be, and it wasn't about the work either. When you're an effects artist, you worry about things like, will this be, will the suspension of disbelief work? Will it be believable in camera? Will people look at what they're seeing and buy into the reality? Because obviously one could go, it's a 6-legged, robot creature. Who cares if it's a little bit unrealistic? But really that's when you really want things to feel like they're naturally in front of your eyes, right?
You want to be immersive, but at the same time, like, did you come into this thinking you're going to see a nature documentary?
Right. Well, and those shots, they're like, you want to maintain that suspension of disbelief where people are watching it and they're buying into this, robot character talking to you via the scene. So you don't want to break that, right? So I was looking at him, I don't know, man, because it wasn't mad. I was like thinking about me, like, I don't know if I can do that. And it took almost a year, honestly. It was a good thing that Matt had a bunch of things to do because I would play with it and then come back to it.
And the complicated thing is there are it's not just cutting things out, because if the arm is moving quick, there might be a frame where the arm is blurry. Like that's going to take some TLC. You can't just take a hard edge and cut it out. Anthony Nefata says, we can hear you. Okay, so note to self, when there's videos that don't have sound, they can hear us. Just so we're not like, I don't know what we would say anyway that they can't hear. But Brittany Voigt says, I want to make a portfolio/demo reel for storyboarding.
Good idea.
Then you need to talk to me and Sean about how to put together a demo reel for both static storyboarding, but also animatics, which would be awesome.
It's a lot of that in storyboarding.
Ann Randall. Hi, Ann. How are you? I plan to watch Aladdin 3477 this weekend. Cool to hear about the creation of it. Awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. That's amazing. So another thing, so there's so many things that you did, but one of the things that was fantastic is some of the keying for green screen. Some of it I was able to do myself, and it was pretty easy. As soon as it got complicated with things like hair, again, that's when I was like, hi, Sean.
Yeah.
Hey,
you know how much experience I have with hair.
Can you, well, you and me both, right?
Yeah.
So, hi, can you take a shot like this and make it look like this? Oh my gosh, amazing. And look at the hair, the Gin of Wisdom, like it's amazing. And even in Aladdin, the parts that are going through there, unbelievable. Look at, you could like, it's like a rock show. It's amazing how good that looks. And then again, a shot like this.
This one was fun to work on because this was like picture perfect. Like if I had to make a tutorial for a class, that's how I would have done it.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
well done.
What was hard for me and the software that I was working that wasn't working that well. So we learned real early on, they sell these green screens that are like a shiny almost like not raincoat, windbreaker material.
I know what you're talking about.
Why would you do? Because it like all that does is reflect and glare. Like that's the worst green screen.
That's what they'll like. Sometimes they'll use them for that purpose. They'll use them for light bounce.
Okay.
You know.
And
reflectivity. But no, Some people just sell the wrong stuff and say this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's
cheaper to make or whatever.
Yeah.
So this we got smart and we're like, okay, the ones that are more fabric.
Yeah.
Well, what we didn't realize, we were in a place where there was really strong light outside bleeding through, and the little bits of light that are coming through the fabric made it even harder to key out obviously things like hair and stuff. But look at this incredible job, and you need to see the moving footage to see how good it is. But I mean, it really looks like he's there standing at the edge of his hangar
planning,
looking out.
The way that you guys planned that shot though, like just the rim light that's on Eric's face when he turns away from the outdoor, you're seeing this light running along the it would be his left side.
Yeah.
That's what sells the effect. Same thing with the halo around his head, where his hair is picking up those highlights. So it was like whoever the DP was on the day, they did an excellent job. If that was you or whoever it was, that was
really what it was.
Smart.
Is we were literally standing in the set where it's darker inside, and he was standing at the edge of it. So it wasn't really that we planned it. It's just that's what the lighting was in real life.
Yeah.
Right.
No, good.
So it
worked.
It
really worked out well. That one went together nicely.
So then for Lian Hua, who has she kind of is a cyborg. She has like a synthetic voice. Also, one of her eyes is synthetic, and you did an incredible job with this. And this is one of the examples, one of the few examples where there is, and I want you to talk about this. This is actually 3D animation that you use to really pull off the light actually looking real, because you in the film it's subtle, but when her eyes were moving for real, you literally have a 3D eyeball that you constructed inside the skull.
Wow.
With the lighting. So talk about this.
It was funny because I didn't think to put that in there. I should have put that in. We had when we were first talking about this, and this again goes back to the idea of planning, right? Thinking about what you want to do. By the way, everything that we're talking about, all of these effects, everything that we're ruminating over, all of this can be done so much easier now than it used to be, even when we started the project. And by easier, I'm not saying easy, but a hell of a lot easier than if you were to come at it years ago with or without the experience. There's a lot of places. We teach classes at Macomb that teach all this stuff, and there's a bunch of people there, people like Yosi and Sean, that are just experts at all this, especially with lighting and video. Yosi is somebody we should just great here.
I would love to have her on.
But
absolutely.
Long story short, for this, the process, we kibitzed a lot, talking about what you wanted to do, what you wanted her to be, because obviously you have to have that. So if you're working with a client, you got to really understand what they're trying to say, because if it's a visual effect, especially for science fiction, it doesn't exist typically, right? So at best, you're referencing other stuff, which is where we started. And I think the first eyeball that I showed you was way more mechanical looking and cyborgish. Like you could see little gears where the like pupil was and stuff. And it was like, well, no, that's not what I wanted. That's cool, but that's not it. Like it didn't fit her, which is clearly and obviously the right decision when you see the movie, but it was kind of where we started. And the process was basically similar to Darshana, which was the robot that we just had on screen. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just time intensive. You have to go in and cut out basically the eye hole, which sounds gross, but it's what you're doing in a tool like After Effects. And there's other tools like there's a program called MACA, which kind of fits with the drink we're having.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, right. MACA is a tool that we use for this kind of work called rotoscoping. It does planar tracking, which in a nutshell basically means when you're trying to follow a surface, this software does that for you. It gives you data that you can use to, make these, thank you very much, make these, cuts, these like eye holes that I'm talking about easier to make. so that it's not shaky when you see it later, right? If you were to just use like Photoshop, let's say, and trace around a person's eye for all the pictures that would be in a video, as steady as your hand might be, as accurate as you think you're being, there's going to be a little bit of what we call shake, and it's going to make the footage look off like that. Exactly. So you use tools to offset that. Long story short, so MACA was used to track the footage, and then I was able to make a better mask for the eye, and then it's a matter of using 3D tracking, which again, Sean Sarcona at the college teaches. I think it's 2560.
Oh,
which is the advanced After Effects and Nuke class.
Yeah.
They get into tracking,
yeah,
three-dimensional tracking, and it's this kind of thing, right? So if this at all interests you, that's one of the people you need to talk to.
Yeah.
At the college. But it was 3D tracking, and then Bob's your uncle. It's pretty simple after that.
I actually took the class, but and Sean was amazing, but man, it's so your headspace. I have so many. It was really complicated for me.
Then versus now. That's the thing about a lot of these tools.
They get easier.
And you get more experience. Like I found, like when I learn new things, like nowadays especially, part of it's age, but another part of it is you realize that if you're finding the right information, like the right people to explain things to you, then if you listen to their explanation and really take it to heart, it becomes easier to solve your own problems. Like a lot of the work that I used to do, working on this, working on other movies, it's a lot of comparative problem solving, where you look at a problem that you have, and then you go online and you try and find somebody with a similar problem and solution, right? Like I used to watch tutorials. I mentioned Andrew Kramer before. Video Copilot is the site.
Oh yeah.
He solved a lot of problems for me by showing me the process to follow for solving my own problems in the software and in these visual effect shots. And that's what understanding the information that you're trying to create does for you. If you know what you're looking for, it's why our conversations were so key. If I didn't understand what you wanted, then I wouldn't be able to even figure out a way to solve a problem. And that's what visual effects is. It's all solving problems.
We've got some comments here. Colin Polly says, "Good evening, everyone. Happy holidays."
Hey, Colin. Hey.
Wait, the atomic chicken guy?
That's him right there.
It sure
That's
looks
his
like
cartoon.
one.
He's got a whole series on that.
DTE says that Eric City shot is so cool. It is. MACA for the win.
Yay.
Deanna, you also have to be on the live stream. Lots of things we need to chat about. So hopefully we can get you on soon.
Yeah.
Anthony Nefata says, now there's a filter you can download, I believe, for After Effects that does all the legwork for lightsabers now. It used to be a difficult thing to trace a saber.
Does a lot of the heavy lifting, you're right.
Really?
There's
That's good. That's good. That's really good to hear, because for the second film, there's kind of a thing. Okay. So Sean Sarcona says, Matt is the best note taker I've ever had. He could sell them with how awesome they look. That's so funny. I have those still. And next time you're on, Sean, if you remind me, I will pull out that sketchbook, because literally everything. The thing I remember the most, there's a I don't know if he still has this project, but it's this framed thing where you have footage of a picture frame, like sitting on a desk.
Sure.
And he just happened to have a zombie baby in the. he had the photo, but then he made it. He tracked it, and so when it moved, So anyway, so literally in my notes, I have a drawing of a framed zombie baby in my notes.
Don't forget the zombie baby. Big important part of Nuke.
Yeah. Fruit Loop says, generally, if you have a problem or want a certain effect in After Effects or a similar program, more than likely there's already a tutorial on YouTube.
You're not wrong. There's so much out there.
Sean Sarcona says, "Oh, Demon Baby is what it was, not Zombie Baby."
That's a big. Right. That's an important distinction.
Yeah. So then, one of the things that I love about this film, and sometimes I feel like doing VFX and a lot of the work that you did, it really is an unsung thing, because if people don't notice your work, it means you've done an amazing job.
Yeah.
If people notice your work, it's almost like not really a special effect if it jumps out as a special effect, So like,
SHAWN SHEEHAN.
so one of the things here, this was a shot where the sky sail, when we put Fidgy in, Fidgy's puppeteered, so the pole that comes down that you hold it comes right through the sky sail. So we had this shot that started where you see the characters on the sky sail, including Fidgy, and then it pans down to Umi, but there's this giant pole, which technically I maybe could have left in because there's all kinds of poles under there, but it doesn't really make sense that there's just a pole coming
you
straight
knew what it
down.
was. You were right.
Yeah, I mean, you would know that that's for puppeteering Fidgy. So in order to fix that, it's hard to do. Now, for one thing, if the shot wasn't moving, I could have done it. I could have gone in. I could have just repainted it, and then it would, because it would have stayed the same. But the fact that the camera is tracking, it's not even that it's a perfect glide coming down, but the perspective is changing. Everything underneath is changing. So so from this, look at that, boom, it's gone. So can you talk about, look at that, I can go back and forth. You see how it just magically disappears? It's amazing. So talk about, you think that it looks like it's easy, right? But that does not look easy. So talk about this process. Like, how did you do this?
So compositing is the, and this applies to still images, it applies to animation. Compositing is the idea where you take more than one item and you combine it with other items, obviously. And then the thing that you're left with is something new and holistic. That's your composite, right? So with a project like this, even when you're taking something away, you're replacing that something with something else, whatever's behind the pole or whatever's, in the glass, right? Or whatever's, through the window, whatever it is that's replacing, the object that was there and now no longer is there, or maybe it's something you're putting into a shot. You have to think about not only the element that you're removing, but what's behind it and how that affects everything else in the general area. One of the things that makes this process, and I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up, one of the things that makes this process easier now, even in After Effects, but especially in Photoshop, is they have tools that allow for this type of predictive editing. Generative AI, which, we hear the term AI and we go, and I don't blame you because I have my own, problems with a lot of it. But where AI tends to work well is in situations like this one, where it's about fixing utility shots. This is, what we would call a utility shot. Not that it's a utility shot in the movie, but the effect itself is, like Nat said, you want it to look like this never existed, this pole that's in the way, or this green screen that's behind somebody, or maybe, the C-stand from a camera, right, that was in the shot, or a boom mic or something like that. Now with generative AI, a lot of that information can be cleaned up faster. It doesn't do a perfect job. And this is, again, where it takes, that human touch to come in and study and not only understand what's not correct about the shot, but what to do to make it correct, right? But you're doing a lot less of that now, which is good because it frees up the visual effects artist to do other things, right? This type of shot is so labor intensive. I can remember talking about this shot with Matt where it was like, it's going to take however long it takes. So we're only going to remove the pole. Well, and not this shot, but let's say, well, if you have time, could you also extend the hallway that the glider's in, maybe, add a window and put something in it? Well, there's no time. There's only enough time because of the labor involved, let's say, to do this one thing in the shot. Now, with generative AI, it's not a replacement, but it's like having a team that you can ask to sometimes come in, like a team of interns. You could think of it that way. It's how I explain it in class. Your own team of interns. You wouldn't give interns like the hardest work because it wouldn't be fair to them because they don't have the experience yet. But the utility work, you could say, all right, this you can get a start on, maybe get it 75% of the way there, and then I can come in, being the journeyman, not the apprentice, and finish up the work. So that's where we could look at a shot like this later and go, what else do you want to do? Because now we can do this in less time than it took. And that's where generative AI has been a real blessing for a lot of effects artists. It's also hurt the industry for the same reason.
Right. Yeah. So I want to talk about a lot of times what we, or at least for this project in particular, there isn't a lot of 3D animation, but a lot of times when we used it, it wasn't to do something fantastical. It was often to just fix a mistake or something that no one would ever notice this. So an example here, this is such a cool example in the crazy amount of work that goes into fixing a mistake. But if you can look between these two shots, there is a difference. So what happened
like the old Highlights magazine.
It is. Can you spot all the differences?
Spot the thing that's
so
not there.
What's wild about this? So we filmed over the course of 3 days. There's this fight scene, and there's Umi, and she's got these. I call it a tiara, but it's like this tri-bladed tiara that she's wearing.
It's cool too.
So the thing that was complicated was we filmed the entire scene out of order over the course of 3 days. Usually we were pretty good with continuity. Well, there's two shots, and this was not Lindsay, who plays Umi's, fault. This was not her fault. If it's anyone's fault, it's my fault, because I was going through and the storyboards, and I'm,
fight scene.
Well, she takes off the tiara, so there's part of it where she's got it on, and there's a specific part where she takes it off. Well, when you're filming everything out of order, does she have it on or does she have it off? Well, there's two shots where that got lost in the shuffle. Two shots where we filmed it where she wasn't wearing it, but she's supposed to have it on. The problem is, literally, she's looking around like this. This is not something you can just I could take a photo of it and just stick it on and maybe try to motion. I mean, it literally needs to turn around. So what needed to be done is this here is the actual prop that you were able to, I assume, just take photos of, right?
Well, you gave me the prop too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had the prop. I had the prop and the photo. Yeah. Both.
And so here you are building the tiara, going through. It's amazing how good it looks.
It was fun. That was a fun.
And I was able to use, I don't know if this is in the official collector's edition. If it's not, it's in the art book that's coming out soon, or maybe it's in both. But
I think it might be in that other. I think it is.
Is it in the official collector's edition? Anyway, so there's two shots, and the shots are back to back. You would never know, and I almost wish people did know, because it looks so good and it looks so real. The sheen as she turns around, and again, it's another undersung thing where people are just going to watch the movie. No one's going to have any idea the amount of work
that's what you want
that went into those two shots. But that's the juice. That's just another testament to a job well done. So can you talk a little bit about what was the process for? I mean, you built these in 3D, and then you had to track them, I assume, onto her head. Did you have to find a middle point of the head and then track from there?
It was more low tech than that. First off, the modeling of it was a lot of fun, actually, and it wasn't that bad because, and this is where Matt had a physical part. I think I had Umi's tiara, we called it. That's what if I remember, that's what we called it. I had that prop. You gave it to me. So I was able to look directly at it and measure it and look at it from all angles. And anyone who's modeled in 3D, when you have the thing, right, it's like, oh, okay, now I can get my groove on, because you can actually see what it's going to be. And if you think you're wrong, you can look at the thing and go, am I wrong? Yep. Or, oh no, it looks like the thing. So there's a lot of serendipity when you have a really cool prop to work from, like that was. It was a really awesome prop. The trick, because Matt said, you had the character turned back and forth from the camera because it's a fight scene, she's looking around. So I actually I half made a 3D model head that was just a real rough head.
Okay.
And I think I had a file for a shrouded character.
Okay.
So I just kind of threw the shroud and then kind of manipulated it, and
the
equivalent of banging on the hood with a hammer, because all I needed to do was make it kind of sort of fit Umi's head shape. Yeah. And then I put the actual item on the character, but treat it like a green screen. So the head part disappears.
And it masked out the other side?
Anytime she turned, the other side of the tiara, when she would turn away from the camera, it was that. So
That's
it was
brilliant.
It was, I'm sure I stole that from something. It was one of those things where it's I didn't think of that. That was sandwiched in between comic books and reruns of Hunter. I don't know where I saw it.
It's funny because I feel like no matter what you're doing, whether you're using a shovel and digging a hole, whether you're doing traditional artwork, whether you're doing something complex and digital like this, sometimes the answer is not the school book, whatever. It's just using the tools you have, and it's like figuring out, how can I trick this tool to do what I want it to and be more efficient and everything else?
Everything that we talk about, all the tools down to the device that you were using earlier, the gimbal, the gyro that you were using. These are all like how does something become a process? It's because enough people do it. And it tends to work, whatever that idea is. So it's all trial and error. Like everything, going back to our earlier conversation about art, right? Like, the people being digital artists nowadays, the reason they are is because of all the people that refused to let the computer just be a computer. They kept monkeying with the formula until they got something that actually made sense as art or as animation, visual effects. You couldn't do this type of work on the computer. That was the big thing that went on and on and on for years. I remember like watching the making of Jurassic Park. I'm sure you've seen that.
Oh yeah.
And they've, there's a really, I think it's on Netflix, the Movies That Made Us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, I saw that one.
That series, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so
yeah.
they talk about in that, they had like I can't remember his name. The one
Phil Tippett, the original. Yeah.
They had Phil Tippett on. They had a few other people on too, and they were talking about old school, like in camera.
Yeah. Stan
like
Winston
miniatures,
was one of the guys.
Yeah. Versus digital. And the guys that were, and this was like ILM, right?
Yeah.
The people that are making the effects happen, they were the like scallywags in the studio. They were the dipshits. Like, what are they doing over in the corner? I don't know, some shit on the computer, whatever. Come on, guys. And they're trying to make these puppets, these amazing animatronic puppets, do the whole movie. Yeah. And these, like, literally, I think it was like two other guys were sitting in a corner, sweating their brains out, trying to make like an actual T-Rex look like a T-Rex on a computer, which is like, you know, me trying to microwave a turkey dinner, like an actual turkey, not like slices of turkey. Yeah. Right. And this is what they were doing, and they did it. Yeah. And again, back then, there was no process. There was no YouTube videos. Yeah. You were just flying by the seat of your pants, knowing what you knew. Yeah. You know, trying anything, and then whatever stuck. Well, yeah, that's what I meant to do. You know, like that's art. That's not just visual effects. That's art. That's why we try so hard, as you know, when we're teaching students, to understand the basics so that you've got that toolbox to reach into, right, when you're trying to develop your own ideas, because you're going to run into the same problems that require answers that you don't have and nobody has. Like YouTube exists, and somebody said in the comments, you can find a tutorial for everything. 110% you can, but try finding the right tutorial when you need it.
And sifting through all the garbage that's out there.
That's a lot of time that you invest, because I've done it.
Yeah.
You know, hey.
So this is something that we never got to finish, but an incredible amount of work, and that is the not the princess's ship. It's the ship that the princess steals. It's actually the Grand Vizier's shuttle, and we had a model of this, a physical model that we built. And then we were going to do some more with the 3D. We just kind of ran out of time with it. But again, an incredible amount of work that you put into this, which is amazing. So I want to real quick segue. We got two more segments like filled with all your stuff. But real quick, I wanted to just chat about Aladdin 3477. So obviously we signed with Buffalo 8. They've produced films like Clerks 3, Loving Vincent. Did you ever see Loving Vincent?
I've seen parts of that. Yeah.
Okay, so I've never seen it, but it's this was produced by Buffalo 8, and actually the person responsible for really getting this out there, and Nikki Steer Justice, she was able to get deals with Michael's art, the art supply store, so that they had posters in there and stuff. This actually was nominated for an Oscar. She's one of the executive producers of Aladdin 3477.
No shit.
They produced, awesome. I never saw this. James raves about it. It's called The Iron Mask with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jackie Chan. I think this came out right before the pandemic, and then it got like kind of blindsided by that. Yep. But the new free LSD movie with Jack Black. Terrifier. Are you into the Terrifier?
I'm not. I've seen.
Okay, so I haven't seen them, but they produced one of the producers of the third film. There's so many records that this is shattering. By the way, this was back in theaters for Christmas.
Yeah,
which is crazy. It is the biggest money-making non-rated film of all time, which is bananas. Awesome. And it was also interesting when this came out. It came out the same weekend as Joker 2.
Yeah,
so it was like head to head.
Kick the shit out of Joker.
Yeah,
2
like
too.
the psychotic killer clowns or whatever.
Yep.
And it
beat it all to hell.
It did, and no one was expecting that. At the same time, Woman of the Hour, directed by Anna Kendrick, was the #1 movie on Netflix, and that has Oscar buzz that she could be winning. I think not for Best Director, but for Best Actress, which is super interesting. I
want to see that too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good. So anyway, so obviously Aladdin 3477. So recently it was Screen Rant that had the exclusive for the trailer, which you can watch right now on Buffalo 8. Recently, Collider shared the first official clip from the film. If you haven't seen it, it's literally less than a minute. So we are going to take a peek at it right now. So Sean just mentioned one of the things he noticed just watching that, and he is obviously, you've seen the film in an earlier stage,
right?
But he noticed one of the things, and these are the things we look for with visual effects. But in addition to when Christy Porosky, who plays the princess, in addition to swiping away, obviously there was no hologram actually there when we filmed it, but we knew, okay, I want it to be kind of a blue hologram thing. So there's a blue light that was on her, and the person holding it knew when she swipes down, pull it away. So that helps sell the visual effects kind of move along with it. And
they did that. There's a lot of in-camera stuff they do now. It's funny. You've heard of the volume. Of course you heard of volume. Yeah. So obviously the volume, that's one of the reasons why they love that device. For those who don't know, volume is a term we use now for giant panoramic screens that surround a soundstage. So instead of everything being green screened, you put your actors, they do this with shows like The Mandalorian. A lot of the Disney Plus shows do this, where they put actors on a set and then they surround them with these giant screens, and the screens themselves become the environments. What's cool, especially with a show like Mandalorian, you got a character with a silver helmet, right, that reflects all the light and everything that's around him. Even this head is reflecting some of the light in the room. Yeah. And so you can see that light, that it adds to the believability of the shot. That's why that shot looks so great, because you got the blue light, and then the effects are just backing up the light that's in the scene, which makes it feel more real. Even though we know as an audience, if we stop and really think about it, obviously those aren't the droids we're looking for because they're not real. That's an actor from Britain. That's not an old wise Jedi. She's not a princess. She's an actor. But those moments where we use those effects, if they're used well, we don't think those thoughts. We stay in the moment with the character. Yeah. And that's what you're trying to get.
James and I were lucky enough when we were in LA a year ago, we went to Orbital Studios, which is a new place in Disney when the volume is overbooked. Yeah. They use this place, and I think it's really owned by Paramount, is maybe the
the Paramount company.
Yeah, I'm sure they license it to everybody.
They do, yeah, for sure.
Sucker.
And so we got to go there, and
that's awesome.
they had demos of moving cameras and stuff that we got to kind of tinker around with, which was cool.
And the tiniest little tacos I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, and they also fed us really fun little, cute little tacos.
The
mini
size,
tacos,
like the length of the first digit of my finger.
What?
They were all dressed to the nines, and someone.
It was kind of a press thing. They were kind of. We got to go because we were guests at the American. Oh my gosh, AFM, American Film Market, which was cool. But of course, the secret is just provide people free drinks and really,
I'm still
really good,
taco.
really
like,
neat
I'm
finger
forcing
food,
myself to
and then
not
like
think
of
taco
course
while you're
everyone,
saying
tiny
this.
burgers.
everyone thinks it's
They
amazing.
had little burgers too.
The little tiny. And then they had. I forget what brand of tequila was making its debut, but it was the smoothest I've ever had.
Yeah, it was
So
good
they
stuff.
did it up well. I mean, it wasn't about the tacos, but for me,
So you need like a 6-inch Deadpool holding one of those tacos.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That would be awesome.
So Premise Land says, howdy doodles, dudes.
Hey.
Anthony Nafata says, Generation AI is still wonky. For the line of imagery I shoot, it doesn't want to work more often than not because the model isn't wearing anything. Oh, and Adobe has some coding into it to prevent it from completing the process.
Yeah, I heard
okay.
about that. They've got a naughty filter.
Let's see. Premise Land, what is up? Daryl Goen says, so pumped to watch the movie. What is up? Daryl was in my class when I took Sean Sarkona's nuke class.
I think I saw you at Sergeant Red's, Daryl. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Have a good night, guys. Good night, Brittany. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Bye, Brittany.
Colin Polly says, LA for me is all about the tacos. Yeah, it is.
Yay.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, okay.
Ooh, good.
So pre-order. So we had a snafu. We really Buffalo 8 was like, you really have to build up the pre-order for Apple TV and Apple TV Plus and iTunes 2 weeks before the film comes out. The reason why is if we can get 500 or more people doing the pre-order, you instantly get into Apple TV and Apple TV Plus's new and noteworthy section. So that's one of the first sections where popping up in that. Plus we're Aladdin, so I don't know if alphabetical is a thing, but it means everyone sees us. Well, we got foiled by the holidays, and everyone needs holiday time. But what happened is there's a glitch that happened literally the day that this went live, which I think is the 20th of December. That's when Apple corporate went on vacation, I think maybe for 2 weeks. So Buffalo 8 has been contacting all the reps. What's going on? The pre-order isn't up. Everyone's on vacation. So the pre-order isn't live. So that has been kind of a bummer. Maybe it'll show up tomorrow. I don't know if they're coming back to work tomorrow or if their vacay is straight through the new year. It's plausible that the pre-order could open up literally Thursday, the day before. Thursday, we have meetings all day in the morning. So it's like, oh my gosh!
Ahead and check that before
I thought you were going to say something like, and then it all worked out really well.
There's no.
Damn.
It's still no big deal. It's still coming out when it's supposed to and on everything else. But this would have been a nice little. Yeah. One of the things I'm glad for a while we were actually going to tie it into a charity. We were actually going to have it tie into the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Make a wish for Aladdin 34, the genie, like that would have been amazing, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So I'm kind of glad we didn't,
like,
because how awful would that have been? Like we take the time, we're going to help your charity, and then nothing, and they're like,
sorry, kid,
so how
you're
much?
Have to die now.
Yeah. So what? How much did you guys raise? We didn't raise nothing. So so that was kind of a bummer. But oh my gosh, hysterical. Tom Savage, you made a movie?
Oh, nice.
What's up, Tom? Thanks for hanging out with us.
Well, that's one less person for the pre-order. Damn.
Right. So, okay, so here's what's up. So, what they did do is they did put a pre-order live on Fandango at Home. I haven't announced this, though, because if you were going to watch it on Fandango, then, yeah, you can do the pre-order, but it's not doing anything. It doesn't actually put it
Oh,
it's not going to help their
right.
algorithm.
Yeah.
You can pre-order it. It's not saving you money. You're not losing money.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. And if you're planning on watching the movie on Amazon anyway, or if you're planning on watching on Apple, even though there is a pre-order that you can sign up for now on Fandango, it's not really doing you a favor, and it's not really doing me a favor. So I didn't really like. That's cool that Buffalo 8 put it up just to put it up, but there's no, I don't know.
It's basically literally the equivalent of like, oh, we have Fandango at home, and the Fandango at home is not at all what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
there are some things though in that which I'll talk about in a second here. So again, to find it, you type in Aladdin. Of course, you're gonna find here we are. You're gonna find the French Aladdin here, which is actually really good.
Oh, wait, the one
Aladdin.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
So that's on there, and obviously the other the Disney versions. Here is Christy Perovsky, who plays the Princess of India, and here she is. She found it on Fandango at home on her. So she took a selfie with it, which
How
is
excited are they?
Which
they
is awesome.
Be like,
I think I mean, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
There is one advantage, and I don't know if this is a real advantage or not. You might know, so I'm curious what you think about this. If you look closely, this is in HDX. So I'm like, HDX, what is that?
Yeah.
So this is, and the HDX is not on Amazon Prime, and it's not on Apple or the other ones. So I looked it up, and HDX encodes a video at a higher bit rate, almost twice that of HD on the average, 9.5 Mbps, and as high as 20 for complex scenes. HDX preserves the film's native 24 frames per second, which is nice because you're actually seeing each frame as it's supposed to be, as opposed to spreading it across what the normal H.264, whatever, where it's blending images from 24 frames into 30 frames.
Yeah,
it looks okay, but it's not as good as actual the native, and it's using HDX uses digital Dolby plus surround sound, which and this is just stereo, but the fake surround sound that it usually does, it's actually pretty cool. It knows to take music and spread it, where it is, and it still center channels, the dialogue and everything. So I'm curious, is this really
Mondo big deal?
It is.
That's tough stuff.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I don't know if this HDX really enhances the experience.
I didn't know that's what it was called. I hate to say that. I feel like an idiot, but because that's like a higher bit rate gives you obviously a better playback experience. And then there are some devices that'll actually, like, you can set it on your TV too.
Yeah.
It'll like create that frame blur so that it feels, that's when you're watching a show and it feels like it's in your room.
Yeah.
Because they've actually raised the frame rate up to like 48 to 60 frames per second using this type of technology. I don't know if it's also related to the term HDX.
Some of it's so sharp though, like with so many frames. Like I don't know if I like feeling like I'm right there. Yeah, there's good and bad. Like when you're used to like a traditional film experience versus digital, there's a real difference that you feel as well as notice. Like you feel it. Like when I watch, and I think that's what you're describing. When I watch a show that has that enhancement to, let's say, an older movie, it feels like I'm there in the room, which sometimes is disconcerting. Like I don't want to be this close. Like Matt,
like Uncanny Valley.
Hot marks on my face.
Right.
The resolution is so crisp.
It has an effect, and people talk about it. It's similar to like it's the Uncanny Valley. People like will relate it to like Polar Express, the movie, where it's so realistic that it's off-putting as opposed to triggering the things. Yeah, exactly. So but I mean, like it's still a cool like device, especially if you're, because I have like friends and family that watch TV at that frame rate, and they love it. Like it's and gaming I think is a part of it, because a lot of gaming takes place at like 48 to 60 frames per second now. And again, for gamers, if I'm misspeaking any of that, because I play games but I'm not a gamer,
I'm sure some of it looks really good.
But I mean, the frame rate, you get used to seeing things like that, and it's kind of the same thing in reverse, where you see a movie that's 24 frames per second, like actual film, like Star Wars footage, right?
Right.
Like, and they watch it and they're like, Jesus Christ, can these images go any faster? Like it's annoying to people that aren't used to it. So it's all flavors of what you're used to.
It did say when I didn't put it up here, but I was looking at if there's any drawbacks. And one of the drawbacks for HDX is if you're downloading it, which some people are purchasing to own, they said it does take like twice the time to download it because of that. But if it is better, then that is a good thing. Premise Land says the Make-A-Wish angle would be fantastic. Where's the best place to pre-order? I would say wait. If there's a chance you have any of the Apple devices to watch it, wait. There's a chance it might open tomorrow. It might even open Thursday. Wow. Apple would be the place to do it unless you were planning to watch it on Fandango. Then, yeah, you could do the pre-order. But again, it doesn't really change anything. You also could just watch it on Fandango when it comes out. The pre-order, it doesn't like help the algorithm or anything like that, allegedly, on Fandango. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't at this point, doesn't matter. But hopefully the Apple one comes up for people watching that. That HDX sounds interesting, says DTE, because I just learned that some content like gaming is gaining more interest with HD and higher frames over 4K. Anthony Lafata says he's talking about motion blur that's specifically made for sports and video games. Just turn it off and it'll look normal.
Certain devices, you can do that. You can flip it off. Some of it's hardware. Some of it's like how it's broadcast too. So, but yeah.
Nowadays, Fruit Loop says nowadays computers handle games at 60 to 120 frames per second for dedicated gaming computers, which is
gotta have a graphics card that can support it. But
John, did you get into Marvel Rivals?
Not yet. I thought about it because that's a whole nother thing. Marvel Comics right now in me new heyday. Loving the stuff they're doing lately. So yeah, thinking about it.
Dolby Digital is included with the HDX as well. Nice. So here's something interesting. This just lined up because it's serendipitous, but 2 years ago when I did the big Kickstarter push, that was the first time anyone was going to see moving footage or what these characters look like. So I did this countdown with the characters in silhouette, and I had this planned out years and years in advance where I got these photos and everything. What's interesting is I didn't even realize this until recently, and this was not planned, but the Kickstarter 2 years ago was released on January 3rd. Also, the movie is releasing on January 3rd, which is wild. Cool. So the countdown, literally Friday, exactly 2 years later, there's your number 7 with the Gin of Wisdom, your number 6 with the Red Star, your number 5 today with Umi. What does that 5 mean? It means 5 days away from the film being released. Cannot wait. In 66 countries, which is wild. From what I understand, about 2 months later, a little more than 2 months later, it'll be worldwide, and you'll be able to see the film everywhere, which is super exciting. So where can you see this? Where are all of these fun places? Obviously, Amazon Prime, Apple TV Plus, also Apple TV, also iTunes, which is cool. Fandango at home, Vudu, which is now owned by Fandango. I'm assuming that they're phasing that out, and it'll just be Fandango. Google Play, Hoopla. Have you ever heard of Hoopla?
Haven't used Hoopla.
Hoopla is actually for libraries. So
really,
and what's interesting, so this is the TVOD phase, which means you have to pay for it. It's not much. Hoopla, though, is actually free because the library ends up paying for it, which is kind of cool. So to us, it's TVOD, but to anyone who has Hoopla, it would just
grab it and watch
it. Be free.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love libraries.
Verizon, Fios,
great.
Vubiquity, Charter Communications, Spectrum, Cox, and Xfinity VOD. All right, so with all these choices, what is the best place? So the two that I would say is Apple TV Plus, especially if we get that pre-order up, that would be the way to go. As soon as the pre-order is over, it doesn't help us anymore. I mean, obviously, if you're watching it on Apple TV, then great. But The algorithm for Apple TV Plus or Apple TV, iTunes really is that pre-order window.
Yeah.
That's really what they focus on. Otherwise, you might as well just watch it on Amazon. Those two probably pay out the least, like literally pennies.
Oh.
But that's where all the eyeballs are. And so that's where Buffalo 8 says you might as
Yeah.
well push people there because that's where the algorithm is
Sure.
going to help the most.
I'm glad you specified why the pre-order matters, because initially I said, were people going to worry about running out of digital downloads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good, I hear pre-order and I'm conditioned.
Yeah, you're
I
not-
go with it, but that's a good
You're
point.
not saving money. You're not
Yeah, you're
losing
not-
money.
yeah,
It's
what is-
just, it is.
Are they going to
it
run
is-
out of digital copies?
Yeah.
What's going to, that's a very
Sorry,
good
we
point.
ran out of
Yeah.
bandwidth. You can't download this anymore.
You can't, it's like an NFT. You can only have,
Yeah.
Oh man,
you know,
it's a whole different.
it's a
live
whole,
stream.
yeah.
Anthony
Amen.
LaFata says, are you going to have it playing in any theaters around the area? I want to see it on the big screen.
Good question.
The answer is yes. I'll address that in a second, but it isn't going to be for a while. So hopefully you guys check it out on streaming first. So you'll appreciate this, I know. So our biggest competition that day, thankfully, there's not like a huge blockbuster coming out in theaters and stuff, but there is another film coming out that day, and that film, our biggest competition is
Hey!
Wallace and Gromit,
Oh, no!
Vengeance Most Foul on
damn!
Netflix. Because
damn!
you're a huge Wallace
Oh
and
yeah,
Gromit fan,
no, yeah,
right?
I love Shaun the Sheep and
Yeah.
the
Chicken Run. I remember
Chicken
Run.
Run's
Hello,
amazing.
Gromit.
Aardman Studios, God, I mean,
to be a pie.
first watch Aladdin and then go
Yeah.
watch this
Mhm.
because they are amazing. Wallace and Gromit, they're the flagship property for Aardman, I believe. Like their shorts is what
Mhm.
kind of got things off the ground for them. That's how Chicken Run happened.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one that was actual 3D, but it was made to look like an Aardman film.
And
Hugh
they
Jackman was the voice of the mouse. Flushed Away.
really
That's what it was. Yeah, Flushed
Okay.
Away. That was really
That
good.
was
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
did what the second season of Star Wars Visions. They did one of the.
I think they did. Yeah,
one of
they
the
had.
things
They
for
were.
that.
Yeah, they did.
Mhm.
I don't think I watched it yet though. But
Yeah.
they had.
It was good.
They had a bit in that. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're amazing. They're amazing.
So this
Not as amazing as the movie you made, right? 'Cause we
But-
gotta
TVOD.
feed the
So-
beast.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So this phase is what's called transactional video on demand, and that means yes, you're still going to have to pay for it, but literally we're talking about as cheap as $3.99 to $7.99. So it's $3.99 to rent it in SD. I believe $4.99 to rent it in HD, $5.99 to rent it in SD, and then $7.99 to own it. I'm sorry, $5.99 to own it in SD,
Yeah.
$7.99 to
That makes
own it
sense.
in HD. It has closed captions for the hearing impaired. At some point, and I don't know which is going to happen first yet. That's TBD. But AVOD is where it'll be on like Tubi and things like that, which means it's free,
Oh, cool.
but it also means there's commercials.
Yeah.
And for most of them, which is a huge bummer, you don't get to choose where the commercials are.
Oh, that's fun.
So it's literally-
I
It's
thought there'd be a
literally
team
like,
that did
like-
dedicated to that,
like-
but-
please don't die on Bounty
Yeah,
fabric
yeah.
song, and it's always louder. Da, da, da.
I mean,
And then
yeah.
as soon as the commercial's done, me,
Yeah.
and then
I really thought
it's
that was
just
a
like
strategic division dedicated to that. But when Matt said that the first time, I tested that, got on Hulu, watched a number of different things. And it did.
Yeah.
It was indiscriminate in where they just dropped the ad in the
Yeah.
middle of a conversation.
No, it's terrible. Like you
I am
watch like
concerned.
Last of the Mohicans.
yeah.
I'll find you. I said Limu, Emu, and Doug. Like right in the middle of the movie. It's the worst thing ever. But it's too bad because that was the cool thing about TV. Like they
Yeah.
used to try and find those breaks. Like they would
Mhm.
make
a
them.
good, a good
You know,
scene at the end of a scene
So they
and
could
stuff.
cut in,
Fade
yeah.
out, and
There's
have
an artistry to it. Even
There
that.
was.
Yeah.
There really was.
So John Rick, hey, what is up? Says this would be a great double feature at the drive-in. Can you
Hey,
imagine
there
Aladdin
you go.
3477
Yeah.
and Wallace and Gromit?
Man, I feel
That
like
would
that's
be-
John in forever.
I know. Oh my gosh. So eventually there will be a release of both Blu-ray and DVD. Interestingly enough, they almost didn't do Blu-ray. I had to kind of twist arms on that because of the
Yeah.
Kickstarter promises I had made. Allegedly, DVD is is I don't know if it's like huge and booming, but it's actually bigger than Blu-ray. There's like
No,
people
it's not.
there's more people buying DVDs than there are, but there's more people.
market.
What,
Yeah.
Did we backtrack and go back under a rock for the last 15 years? Are you kidding me?
But dude, that's the thing, is like people like listening to record players, you know, which actually have higher fidelity than anything we listen to now, but it also has the little cackles and you know, it's a vibe.
I feel like there's no comparison.
People
to
like
that.
the fact that there's so much, like if you look at the history of DVDs, there was so much content that became DVDs. Blu-rays just haven't been around as long as DVDs.
I'm still
So if
impressed by
you're-
Blu-ray technology.
Oh, it's really cool. I still buy like Blu-ray for certain things that I want to make sure that I have instead of searching for it on
That's
streaming.
the thing. There's a lot of things that you
Yeah.
can't find on streaming.
Right.
There's legal things. So if you have a physical copy, and I know you've got some books we're going to talk about, what we were talking about earlier, how books are making kind of a comeback now.
There's a, what is it? It's Borders, or I want to say it's Borders. Maybe it's Barnes and Noble. It's one of the two. I'm pretty sure they were opening up stores this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not sure which chain it was, and I'm sure there's, well, maybe that's happening, but this other horrible thing happened. I'm sure, but like there's a resurgence in some of the like physical medias.
I'll always go print media. I think there's just something great about holding like a graphic novel or just a book in general.
It's better for your, well, depending on how you read, it can be better for your eyes if you compare like reading on like a physical piece of paper versus
light shooting into your eyes.
Depending on the screen, like Kindles are great, and there's certain ways that you can use your devices correctly so that you're doing the least damage. But overall.
So there will be a movie premiere of sorts at some point. Actually,
that's awesome.
I don't know if this is going to happen for sure or not, but Australia, there is a huge sci-fi convention, and because Australia is not one of the 66 countries, they're interested in having Aladdin 3477 premiere theatrically in, that would be in February though. So I don't know if it's going to happen. And if it does happen, I don't even know if I'll be able to go out.
You have to go there, and then you have to take a small jaunt over to New Zealand.
Yeah.
You have to go
to Hobbiton.
Yeah, you got to check all that out.
And Casey would like. Casey is so huge into Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah, well that's all.
Oh my gosh, that and Harry Potter. But
that's awesome.
So this is interesting. Speaking of, so no official information on a movie premiere yet. However, if you go to movietickets.com, you will find Aladdin 3477. You look it up and you're like, what? You type in your zip code and Showtime's not available right now. So it's not there yet, but it's set up for movietickets.com. But hey, let's talk about some of the really cool digital art and some more stuff that you have cooking. So this is Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh. The creator of Crash Bandicoot is Charles Zimbelez. And I had the opportunity once in LA. He was teaching a class. Oh my gosh, this was so long ago. And I got to come out to the class because my buddy was taking it. And I can't remember if I got to give a presentation or if I just got to sit in on the class. Whatever it was amazing. And he was just a wealth of information. Such a cool cat. But so this is wild.
That's
and
awesome.
This is, and can you is this a spec piece or is this for something?
That is like several of these books right here. There's a company out of France called Sick Magazine.
Yeah.
They found me through Behance. Behance. What's your flavor, right? Potato, tomato. Yeah. I've said Behance forever, so you're gonna hear me say Behance, but I'm pretty sure it's Behance or I don't.
Yeah,
I always put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Well, they do have
France.
Behance. Well, this is from France. Yeah, and Behance is how they found me. They actually Jon Villiers, I want to say his last name is pronounced. It's spelled Villers, and I know I'm butchering it. He is a sweetheart of a guy. I've been working with him for years. When I did that image, I was actually getting approval here we were looking at rough cuts of Aladdin, talking about effects.
Mhm.
And I kept walking away going, I got to check my email real fast. I'm sorry. And this was what I was checking on because it was the second piece that I had been doing for them.
Mhm.
And long story short, that image is a wraparound, kind of like this is.
Yeah.
Where the image starts on the front cover and then goes around to the back.
Mhm.
This is nothing new to Matt. He's done a ton of these for all sorts of great clients. But I started doing this for Sick Magazine, and I've been doing it for years, and it's just a lot of fun. I think that's pretty much what I sent you, all the Sick covers, which is why they're designed like this. And I brought some of the sketches because I thought it would be fun to, again, kind of bring up, even though, because I've like Matt's class, we were talking about those videos earlier, and, you know, Matt's debated sort of in those videos occasionally about the merits of both traditional and digital, which that's a thing you got to think about nowadays, especially with the way the technologies work now, long story short, because now the technologies really are getting to the point where the fidelity that you were looking for when you were working as an artist years ago, combined with that ease of use, which is what digital, if it's working properly, provides, that's finally like really happening, right? For those of us that have been around long enough, we're seeing this. So, you know, like these were sketches that I shipped over to Yon to get approval on. This was the first cover I did for them. They had seen a bunch of Batman stuff that I did, this cartoon style. And they were like, you know what? We'd love this. Why don't you give us some sketches? And if they work out, we'll pick one and, you know, we can use you for this issue of the magazine. And it worked out. They picked this one and that was the cover. And I had those other two. There's the actual artwork.
It's awesome.
So I figured, I'll share that stuff because those were sketched on the computer. But again, that kind of sketching came from sketching on paper with, you know, pencils years ago, you know.
Well, and it lets them choose. And I love that you can see you're kind of showing how it's going to work. And that I love that. And this really is just a really cool art that people don't think about with books where it ends up being 3, sometimes 4 pieces of art, depending on if you have a thick enough spine. Sometimes you can have something on the spine, but it's got to be a cool on, you know, on the front cover, like this is a piece of art, right? This is a piece of art, but also when you see the whole thing, like that also is a piece of art.
This
so I just love
it better because it's got the front story and the back story.
Dude, oh my gosh! And this, look at the printing. The
they do
I
kick-ass
love.
job.
Look at that. It's got the
foil.
I don't know, the foil little guy on there, and the sick. That is really cool.
But it's got the front cover story, even though it's one image. It's got the story on the front cover, and then there's something on the back.
So did you just send them an extra layer that they were able to kind of choose what the, or did they actually? Long
story short, they set that up with the art. Like this was kind of like the sketch suggests. I would work with the editor, which is Yon. Again, Sick Magazine, great magazine out of France. But long story short, I would work with Yon. I'd send him sketches, and we would, you know, feel out what the final layout would be based on that. He nowadays, because we've worked together for years, he'll come to me with his ideas. And like we did one recently for The Thing, one of my favorite all-time movies. I was so happy.
Oh, actually, I got the thing,
and that's the book.
Dude,
it was fun. It was so much fun.
So cool.
You know, but he wanted
the side too. Has a did I? Oh yeah. The foil on the side.
And he does all of the graphic design, him and his team, for the books.
Wow,
and
the
these
layouts are
it's insane.
Really
they are
nice.
So talented.
Yeah.
You know, when they do these, I'm so lucky to be able to work with them.
Yeah, this is primo, man.
But
this is really nice.
It's a lot of fun to do. I like showing these to students too. But his idea, he came to me, was like, I love the John Carpenter movie, The Thing. I want you to do the cut. Oh, you've already signed on and said yes. Like I didn't even read the whole email. I was like, please let me do this. You know, because he was enamored with one of our favorite artists, Drew Struzan. Did the poster for this movie, and he did it famously in like a night. Like he had one night to get this done or something crazy like that.
And it's literally his wife taking a photo of him wearing a parka.
And he just kind of airbrushes some nonsense over the top of everything to make it look the way that it looks. And serendipity ensues once again. So he was like, let's take that idea of the movie poster and play with it. What if we got to see what that thing looked like after he started to transform? And we weren't trying to make it look exactly like the character, the monster from the movies, or the monsters from the movie, because this was supposed to be like the magazine / my, like we'll call it original take. Not original because you can see aspects of character elements from the movie, like the dog coming out of the like midsection is, obviously an homage to the movie.
Yeah,
those poor dogs.
Yeah.
Same thing with the eye stalks coming out of the guy's face.
Yeah, and this is to the that's so cool.
A lot of the character elements in the movie. So yeah, that was a lot of fun, that cover. A lot of fun to make.
We have a comment from Jade Sterling. What is up? Hey. Hi, everyone. What a funny coincidence. I just showed my brother Sean's Principles of Animation video earlier this afternoon. I need to see that video.
It's fun. It's just a little Pixar nothing. It's fun.
Yeah. I want to see your version of it. I didn't realize he was today's special guest. We're all looking forward to the movie premiere. Awesome. Thanks for hanging out tonight. Oh, and does Sick Magazine come in English or is it just French? I'd love to buy the Metal Gear Solid one.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. The issue itself is it's all French, but you can go to their site and there's an English translation version of the site. Okay. I don't want to say 100% that they haven't started selling like bilingual copies because I know that at one point he was thinking about that.
Okay.
Because I actually did a couple of interviews for him because he wanted like his fans and followers to know a little bit about all the cover artists because I'm not the only one. I'm one of like 3 people now that pretty much we rotate it. Like
okay.
They kind of ask whoever's free or they pick like, again, Yone's really good about picking the right artist for the job. Like he knows, what pieces he wants to put people on. This was a fun one because we had to discuss the kind of character. I never played the game Shadows of the Colossus.
Okay.
But I know about the game. It's a very iconic video game that has just grueling battles. If you've ever played it, like they literally go on for days, like literal actual days. Some of these boss fights. And the story is a very like grown up story. It's not adult in the strictest sense of the term, but it's a very grown-up story. It's not a happy ending story. And we had to make up a character that fits. So that this character on the cover is not one that exists in game.
Okay.
It's based on Yone's interpretation of what another Colossus might look like, and a lot of talking and figuring out there. Same thing with these views.
The Metal Gear Solid one. Yeah, this is what...
these are all different sketches. A couple of these were a little too violent, like him with the gun, even though he's not pointing at the camera. There's obviously, if you've played any of the games with Solid Snake or any of the Metal Gear games, this is, I think his dad, long story short. I've played a couple of the games, but I'm not an aficionado. And I want to say that this is based on Metal Gear 3 or Metal Gear Solid 3. So it should be, I think, Big Boss is what they called him. This is like his origin, sort of, if I remember correctly. And the sketches that we did were based on, a lot of different discussions that he and I had about the character and how to kind of differentiate him from the main character that most people know, because he's not actually that character, even though this game is actually one of the most popular games, this version of Metal Gear.
Fruit Loop says, Metal Gear 3 features Big Boss, who is Snake's dad.
Yep, there it is.
Shadow of Eric Steele. Shadow of the Colossus was an awesome game.
Yeah.
What is up, Eric?
Yep. Hi, Eric.
I hope you're gearing up for Friday. Everyone's chiming in. Daryl Goen says you're correct about Metal Gear 3 Big Boss.
Hey, Daryl. That's cool.
Yeah, so cool.
So it was a lot of fun. That cover was, I sent that one first and they liked it, but they went with the more brightly colored version because this was the color palette, which is something we talk a lot about.
Yeah.
On these covers, they have a very specific color palette because Yone will use that throughout the book, like the same kind of color scheme. Like there's a lot of reds and greens in this book because those colors are complementary.
Oh, that's amazing that they think of that. Like those are
he's
really
an amazing
well designed.
editor. He comes to me with all of that,
wow.
And he usually gives me like at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
to go from bang to bullets because he knows that it takes time because of obviously other things that I'm doing, teaching class.
Of course.
So he's very cool about that.
So cool.
Yeah. This was based on Demon Souls, this cover, which is a version of like Elden Ring, that whole series of games.
Okay.
They wanted a fluted knight character, so I did a bunch of sketches. That was my favorite drawing, and it came down to what's your favorite, and I was like,
yeah,
you know, because that's kind of it's like an Aragornish pose that I kind of chose, you know. And there's the inked version, and what I usually do with my client is I'll send them the ink to say, all right, are you happy with this? Because, you know, once we start adding colors,
it's
going
hard
to
to change.
which is again what you used to do,
Sure.
and probably still do when you work with, you know, clients. You'll give them a toned mock-up, and say, all right, this is what it's going to look like from a value study perspective.
Exactly.
Before you start throwing all that paint down, so it's a similar process.
Yeah, easier to make changes then, like as we go forward, like that is not the, you know, a finished painting, and then they're like, you know, we're thinking maybe not having this character and have this. It's like, bro, you could have said that like so much earlier, you know. Yeah.
And then that's basically the final version, and it's again a wraparound. All these are the sick wraparounds. So all the way around. So the sword obviously had to break to the opposite side, so there'd be something on the back cover.
Yeah,
so it was fun.
So cool. So
this
you have a. So we're shifting gears real quick, and then we're gonna go to some other stuff. But you have a demo reel of sorts, and you've got another student reel we're going to show a little bit later. But this is specifically animated pixel art, and this is like not just 8-bit, but 16-bit is probably what this is.
You could argue, this is the closest. Yeah, exactly. Like Super NES to NES.
Oh my gosh. So this is 2 years of students work?
This is one class.
This is one class.
This was last semester's class. These guys did an amazing job. This was the advanced Photoshop class, which is MACA 2300.
Okay.
One of the projects, because it's all Photoshop.
Yeah.
Photoshop does animation. This is, again, something that, I mean, it's been there for a while now.
Yeah.
But going back, it was like Photoshop animation. Ha ha ha. Sure.
Oh,
buddy.
yeah. Oh,
right
my gosh.
now, it's this great animation tool.
Yeah.
Robert Valley uses it.
I was just going to say, do you know who Robert Valley
yeah.
is? Yeah. It's
Parasiter
amazing.
and Cigarettes. We watched part of that in class.
Yeah.
And talked about him, you know, getting the Oscar for that.
Amazing. Did he get the Oscar for that?
I think he did.
Oh, my God. I knew he was nominated, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure he won.
Oh, my gosh. That is so cool. He got to start doing stuff for Gorillas.
Yeah, he did the music videos.
Yeah.
And they're so good when you watch them, too.
Yeah.
Like, from an animation perspective. And this, again, goes right back to solving problems. If you ever watch Robert Valley, and I'm sorry to stop on this.
Yeah.
But it's funny that we're talking about him. It's serendipity. This is exactly what you were talking about earlier. Robert Valley, he was never an animator. If you ever watch this guy, he's like, I kind of like art. It's fun shit to do. Like, I was smoking outside yesterday, and I was talking to my buddy while I was doing a
He's
shot.
like a Vancouver surfer.
Yeah, and we thought about this idea. And my buddy Techno died in Canada, or he's from Canada. He died in China, so I thought I'd make a graphic novel, and I don't know any other shit other than Photoshop, so I just made the artwork there. Like, that's, if you watch him on YouTube, I know it sounds like I'm being a jackass.
Yeah, I know.
But that's I'm quoting.
It's endearing.
Like, literally.
Though.
No, it is. The guy's awesome.
Yeah.
But you listen to him talk, and you're like, this is not at all the art teacher explanation that I expected.
Yeah.
And everything he did for that movie, he made a 40-minute movie, which you go, 40 minutes isn't that long. It's like, try drawing a 40-minute movie by yourself.
Yeah, drawing every frame.
And he drew in Photoshop.
Yeah.
Now, he started with his graphic novel art that he made in Photoshop as well, but he animated the whole thing in Photoshop, which is just insane.
Yeah.
And he practically got an Oscar if he didn't actually win. I'm pretty sure. I think you're right. I think he got nominated but didn't win. I think Pigeon won.
I can't remember.
Polly, it was like a Pixar movie.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
It was a little bird or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But
Piper.
Yeah. Good one. Pull that out of nowhere.
I know. James randomly
That's
pulls
awesome.
out the craziest trivia.
This is animation in Photoshop.
Yeah. All right. Let's check these out.
These students knocked it out of the park.
This is one class worth of students, and this is just one of the projects.
One
class.
Yeah. Right. No. That's okay.
I clicked on the wrong thing.
No, don't worry about it.
Did I click? Oh, yeah, I did. I put them in the wrong order. That's why. Here we go.
college. I wanted, for the students stuff.
Yeah.
It's just kick-ass stuff.
Yeah, that was
I wanted
amazing.
you guys to see what they did.
And that's just advanced Photoshop. That is crazy.
It's one of my favorite assignments, though. I have a blast. Like the stuff I make, I always try to come back to it, and I've got stuff that I'm doing with a few of those pieces for that reason. But those demos are always fun to do.
Jade Sterling says, "Are you guys doing anything with Procreate in the MACA program now? You can animate in that as well." I know with Procreate Dreams. In my area, I don't have something where students are all using Procreate and using iPads, but I am slowly merging a lot of my projects where you can use an iPad, either where it's anything goes, you can use any media for the project, or I'm sometimes letting students do their initial sketches or their initial mock-ups, for different things. So it's happening, but it's just slowly, merging into everything going on.
Fall
is when you're doing
25.
Procreate, merging it in.
It's in the 2300 class.
Okay.
It's taken me a while.
After Effects.
2300 is Photoshop.
Oh, Photoshop.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But it's in there. Like Procreate, that one's taken a little longer to add, but we're doing that. Like we've got the tablets. Sean Sarcona again. Being the genius that he is already, like we have the equipment because of him.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of figuring out where and when to plug these tools in. He's probably already used some of this software in his various classes. I know Deanna also has tried to, bring in some of these tools, but I've got in this class, we're going to be using Procreate specifically on the iPad, and then transferring the files for finishing in Photoshop, because that's just something that people do now.
Yeah,
so
I do some of that back and forth myself, which I did for the Aladdin movie posters.
Yep.
Love the Legend of Zelda music. Fruit Loop says those are amazing. Eric Steele says those animations were great.
Thank you. They did a great job.
Eric, you see the Luffy and the Kaido in the One Piece.
Real quick, I want to transition. I've been talking about Star Wars all year because it's my 30th anniversary. Finally, I was going to say you guys don't have to hear me talking about Star Wars every time this year, but there is some new things happening next year, so you'll hear me talking about more stuff. But this was my 30th anniversary, and so exciting. I did a Journal of the Wills cover. This gallery show was absolutely amazing in Germany. I recently released a new video series called Illustrating Star Wars, and my recent Donald Glover Lando came out on a few projects with that.
Oh, nice.
The history of the R7 droid video, it was my second official Star Wars gig back in, I believe, 1995. I was the first artist to illustrate what an R7 droid looks like.
Nice.
Thought it was just going to be this role-playing book, like it's just for role-playing whatever. But now there's like action figures, and there's like,
that's awesome.
There's all kinds of stuff that has the R7 droid, and I didn't do much with it. It's just, and some of this was art directed by Pablo Hidalgo, who wrote. Wrote this. Now he's like the official Lucasfilm story group. But it was his idea to do the triangle eye lens, and then there's just some angles kind of cut in, and now it's on the actual figures.
That's awesome.
Which is super fun. So real quick with Aladdin 3477, what is going on now? Well, recently, as you guys know, we had an awesome review from Movie Show Plus. The title of the review is Aladdin 3477, The Djinn of Wisdom, a visually stunning sci-fi adventure that redefines independent filmmaking.
Yeah.
Bro, that's huge. Like, wow, thank you. And
you and John Carpenter.
I've had reviews before, like my movie Conjure that came out, way back when. That had everything from 5-star, like best horror movie of the year so far, all the way down to this movie was so bad it made my eyeballs scab over from watching it. So look, this review is great, and I'm so thankful for it. But I have very thick skin, so I'm sure not every review can be this glowing. But man, what a great way to start. So there's all these websites just in the past week, new releases coming out this week, which is super cool. This is interesting. CableTV.com. What to watch this week. Relax with our top 16 TV and movie picks. And it only lists 2 in the main thing here. It lists Squid Game, which just came out.
You and Squid Game?
Aladdin 3477.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Neck and neck with Squid Game. Like, that's amazing.
Cool.
This is interesting. This is a news website in Germany. It's literally news.de, which they did an article, which I can't read, but they didn't use a picture from our set. This is this might even be an AI photo, but it's that's not our. I mean, that wasn't our set, but I mean, it's cool. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't read it, so I don't know what it says. Also, MSN shared the juice on us this week, which is wild.
Nice.
This blew my mind. It's a little hard to see here. Maybe if I do, nope. If I do, wait. If I do, wait a minute. If I do this and then this, there we go.
Yeah.
Dude, TV Guide.
TV Guide, yay!
I can't imagine TV Guide is still in print.
That goes,
but like I never thought I would see my project on like a TV Guide.
That goes
like,
back to like the bunkers and Happy Days. Like, yeah, Times Flow's Diner on.
So I did I hopefully I'll have a link for it soon. But last week I had an interview that I did for Pop Culture Kaboom. It's actually on the radio on 95.1 FM in Nevada. So hopefully I'll have a link for that soon. This is interesting. I don't know if the website's new, but for filming lists, strangely, I don't even know how they got this information, but it lists, they have a page for all of the locations where we filmed Aladdin 3477. Whoa. All the different, and not just the different countries I went to, but the cities that I went. Wow. I don't know how. And they have like the sand dunes and like all this stuff. Really? I don't know how they got this information, if they infiltrated my computer and somehow knew like where, like the codes of where everything was. But it's got there's a couple things missing, but it's got a pretty comprehensive list of all the places we filmed.
Who did they talk to?
I don't know. I don't know. I was shocked to see it. But there is some weird stuff online. Probably the weirdest. There is a store online selling the Aladdin 3477 movie trailer for $35.
The thing you can watch online for free.
Wow.
Well, here's what's interesting. That's what my question, like, what exactly are you getting for $35?
Yeah.
But then when you choose options, the options are men's shoe sizes.
Oh,
well, if you're getting shoes with it too.
So it's $35. You get the trailer, and then you can get it's US or US UK sizes. You can choose your men's shoe size.
Wow.
I want fidget slides.
Like they actually send you like Crocs or something?
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
You've got comfortable feet.
I feel like I need to.
The movie's coming.
I feel like I need to check it out.
If you had Fidgy on a pair of Crocs, I would probably buy them.
That would be.
Then you have to call them frocks, right, or something like that.
I mean, I literally bought the Taco Bell collab Crocs because they had the logo from the '90s and Liv Moss printed on the inside.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, Fruit Loop says, "Whoops, Aladdin 3477 Crocs." Yeah, I feel
frocks.
Like at some point,
frocks.
At some point, that needs to be a thing.
See those little charms they stick on? Yeah. One's a little sky sail. One's a little Lochan head. I almost got, because you can get those made relatively cheap. So I almost got some of those, but I'm like, what are the percentage of our fans that actually wear Crocs? Yeah. Well, and then you go out trend set, be like, hey, look at my awesome. Yeah. And then everyone be like, I want one.
Nobody had a fidget spinner until everybody had a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
Fidget spinners.
Yeah. Friggy spin. No, I'm not sure. No. They can't all be winners. That one maybe I tossed that one away.
This is the money. Sean's just spitting real facts here.
Yeah, I think I did spit actually.
Sorry. The art book is coming out soon. It's a hardcover art book. It's my 7th art book to date. It's the one I'm most proud of. Cannot wait for you guys to see this. We'll be talking about that more soon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
So the draw this in your style. This is really cool. I want to share some more of these real quick. I want to share the video of what this is and what it's all about. And I'm going to show you some of them that came through in the last week that are amazing.
I think I saw one of these on Instagram. Yeah, these are.
Yeah, it's I've been sharing them on Insta. Where is the? Did I miss the? Did these get out of order somewhere? Hold on. No. Oh, here we go. So check out this video real quick. We're just weeks away from the release of the first Aladdin 3477 film, The Djinn of Wisdom. It drops on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, and more this January 3rd.
Well done.
In the meantime, are you ready for a new Draw This in Your Style contest?
Always.
Good, because this time it's the main adversary, SHAWN SHEEHAN.
Well, isn't this interesting?
We've done these in the past for Aladdin, his sidekick robot Fiji, and Kamala, the Princess of India.
Well, that was fun.
Now we're illustrating the Nano Dragon himself, SHAWN SHEEHAN, in your style.
I got a bad feeling about this.
SHAWN actually has two looks. The friendly dignitary we see in hologram form.
I'm not interested in the fake version.
And his real-life sinister form from the Nano Dragon Terminal.
Wait, that's real?
Here he plants evil seeds controlling the nanonet.
Good for him.
So are you ready to draw?
Yes.
Should there be prizes?
Yes.
All right, there's going to be 10 winners.
Are you kidding?
3 first-place winners will win a large box of Aladdin 3477 merchandise.
Score.
3 second-place winners will win medium-sized boxes of merch.
Yes, saw 3.
3 third-place winners will get small merch boxes.
Say I find mercy and give you another chance.
Fair enough. Make that 4 third-place winners.
That's it.
How do you begin? On the Aladdin 3477 Instagram page, you'll find a carousel post with reference images. You can draw his lighter hologram look, real-life sinister form, or combine both.
Sounds fun.
From there, you create your best SHAWN art in any media and post using the hashtag SHAWNDTIYS.
All right, fine. Let's make this quick.
Feel free to DM me the art to make sure I see it. There is a deadline.
What is it?
You have until December 27th to submit. From there, select cast and crew from the films will vote on the top 10. Winners will be announced 2 weeks later.
How?
On the Aladdin 3477 Instagram page.
Yeah, I got it.
Merch boxes will be shipped to winners a week after that.
The job is yours.
I can't wait to see what you come up with drawing SHAWN SHEEHAN in your style.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
All right. So that is the contest. It actually just ended on Friday. Check out some of these pieces. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
So cool. So obviously this one, digital, very cool. I love how the chains kind of disappear with like the smoke in the background. This one is acrylic mixed media, kind of a Drew Struzan-esque technique. I love that it's got both the light and dark version of that. This is a marker rendering.
Wow.
You know, obviously, Trevor Sutherland.
Oh yeah,
like
that's
oh my
Trev.
gosh, yeah. There's like nothing he can't do. He's amazing at like pretty much everything, right?
Have a photo.
Yeah, this isn't even like a photo, like drawing the photo. This is him reimagining the helmet slightly different,
Just shot in the
also
dark
from a
angle,
different
and he got
angle.
it. He
Like
got it down.
amazing.
It's a
There's
nice concept render.
and then here's Brittany
Oh,
Oranger.
Brittany.
Obviously has to make the kawaii version, you know.
Sure.
She's always great.
This is just amazing. That I love the
That's what I
layout.
saw earlier today.
I love the cables going in, and obviously it's got the light version and it's got the Nano Dragon terminal. Like amazing.
Yeah.
This also is Trevor. Like,
Nice.
oh my gosh, so cool. And again, it's SHAWN, but a little bit of it's reimagined, like the cut of the fabrics a little bit. He kind of did his own thing, which I'm all about. Like so cool. Love this. Is almost like an animated. This is almost like a Powerpuff
it feels
maybe
like
version or something.
like Adventure Time or something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. Totally.
That's cool.
This Joe Palazzolo. How cool is this?
Wow.
This might even be, if I'm not mistaken, 100% color pencil.
Wow.
And
nice.
this is obviously he's got the light version
Yeah.
clawing through, and then you see the real version
That's very
of
cool.
SHAWN underneath. Like that is just so
That's
so
really
wild.
Well done.
so brilliant. You can go on Letterboxd. Are you on Letterboxd yet?
Not on there. I think Deanna's on there.
So it's a really fun way to collect, and you can review movies and all that. Like, why would you want to do that? Who cares? The thing that I think is neat about it is there's lists that people put together. So already there's like 13 different lists that Aladdin 3477 is on. And some of them are just like movies I want to watch or whatever.
Yeah.
But 3 of the lists that blow me away, one of them is a complete list of Aladdin films. I think there's 72 of them.
Really?
I know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Another one is a list of movies that have jinns in them, 173 of them.
Wow.
And then another list that blew me away that is so cool. It's a list for no reason at all of movies that have numbers in them. And it's just a random assembly of I forget what the one that has 1 in it. It might even be like Red One.
Yeah. Okay.
Or Rogue One.
Oh, yeah.
And then it has a movie for 2. It might be like Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Then it for 2.5, because it's all sequential. The fact that there's a Naked Gun 2.5, it has that.
Nice.
So it goes all the way, and it only has 1. Like there might be a bunch of movies that have a 5 in it, but it only chooses 1. And it goes and goes and goes and goes. And Aladdin 3477 is in.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it also has like Blade Runner 20.
I was gonna say, is that 47? The last one? Like it's 34?
No, there's more.
So
there's more after that. Strangely, it's the we're on the second to last page, but well, there's like 20,000 Leagues.
Well, yeah, there you go.
You know, there's all kinds of stuff, but really fascinating. There's still screenings. I have the J. Craig podcast is coming out tomorrow to see the film. On Friday, Attack on Show came out, and I think they just released today, at least on TikTok, and maybe also on YouTube. I put this together obviously last night and this morning, so I think that is up possibly soon. All of this is gearing towards Friday, January 3rd, when the film is released. Super exciting.
That's gonna be crazy.
We got some comments really quick. Awesome. Premise Land is still rocking with us. Eric Steele says, you would be surprised by the talent of some geo-guessers finding locations just by an image.
Oh my God.
That's
fair. Did I tell you about that show?
No.
There was a show, it's a competitive, well, it's no longer a thing. Teams of like 5 would sit there and it's competitive geo-guessing. Jim, Eric, and I got really into watching this after we went through a Jeopardy phase, like 40-year-old dudes. So we're watching it at the studio, 1 image, and like, all right, guys, first one to find it, go. The teams are just going in there, and then 2 minutes later, not even like, boom, right here, that's Tallahassee, Florida, at this particular parking lot, according to this and this. Like, how did you know that? Like, well, you see the water line here, but you also see the tree here. But if you look right here next to the parking lot, you'll see that the sand right here, there's a different color shift to the sand, and only in certain areas of the United States does that sand several layers below actually reach the surface, and that's right here. They got it. Like,
well, here's my question. Even if that's how they're getting it, are they getting that just on the trailer? And that's why some of the locations are missing, because obviously they wouldn't have seen the film yet.
If someone writing an article hired a geo-spotting team just to go ahead and print that article where no one else is going to be able to say, hey, there are the locations, and they put that kind of effort and investment into it, let them publish that, because like, more power to you guys, I guess. But
I wonder if there's like an algorithm that can, guess.
Gosh, you would have to think so, yeah.
Right?
Oh, well, like it would be one of those things where like I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but it's one of those things where
AI could probably decipher.
Somebody's done that, right? Like it's one of those things where you go, that's a thing, right? Somebody somewhere, this is where Sean's out there. Sean Sarcona can tell us, because this is where I would look at him and I go, that exists, right? And he would say, no, you're insane, or actually, he wouldn't even say that. He's too nice a guy. He would say something like, no, I don't think so, or he would say, yeah, it's this, and
Fruit Loop says, speaking of, have you gotten around to watching The Thief and the Cobbler yet, Sean?
I still have to do that. It's on my list. Thank you very much. I'm going to watch that before school starts. Hey, there
Nick Garlock says Sheehan is the greatest of all time. Nick, I want to get you on the show because we need to talk about some of the cool stuff you have done as well. So
on the movie,
we need you on the show. Maybe at the last Sunday in January, I think. Let me know if you are game. I'd love to.
The hand
I'd love to get you on.
that he
Yeah.
worked on. That
It's
wow.
wild. It's
Yeah.
there's a lot of cool stuff that he put into that, and
Nicholas,
also
sir.
it's in Cambodia, and he researched the language Khmer, so it has actual Khmer kanji that comes up and stuff.
There you go.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah. We love you, sir.
Yeah. So tell me about this. This is is this your work or is this student work?
That's me.
Okay.
These pieces, I'm pretty sure because they're not in the video. These are me, but they're based on a project that we do in the Photoshop class as well. Because again, the class 2300, I should say 2300 because we teach, a couple of classes that have Photoshop in it. Deanna Sheehan and Sean Sarcona both teach 1320 along with a few other instructors.
Is this a Lady Gaga quote?
That's actually from it's in the bottom right corner, but it's from Gone with the Wind. So she probably also said it, but that quote's from Scarlett O'Hara says that in the movie. That was chosen in the class 2300. One of our projects, obviously you saw the pixel art. Another one is where we make designs using 3D. One of the products that we use, the main product, is Dimension, because it's an Adobe product. It's pre-installed on all the machines at the school, and most students that have a Creative Cloud subscription, if they're not using our subscription, because students now they can use our software at home not for free, but for no extra cost. Like if you get in the class, you can now use the software at home that you use in the classroom, which we can talk about later if anybody's into that. But long story short, Dimension is an easy program to play with because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles of a 3D program. And it's directly compatible with Photoshop. You actually kick Photoshop files out of Dimension, which you can then composite and continue to render, which is what these pieces represent. These are all demos that I do in class when we're teaching this product, or not product, but we're teaching this assignment. So there you go. So that's why I included them, because I think they're really fun portfolio pieces. And they happen because of the fact that, it's just a demo in class,
Eric says he loves these sour candies. I knew there was a reason I love that art. These are straw bango. Have you had
Eric, you have to try those
straw
ones.
Bango? It's strawberry and mango mix.
I was hoping Eric would see these ones because these are the ones that I think these are good. I think these are ones that are probably some of the best ones.
Yep. So all these are demos that were done in class, and we demo as obviously because we're trying to get students to see the process. They make their own phrases, they pick their own quotes. Long story short, but the way that they set these up, there's a whole design process that again plays into understanding, how to make shapes work together, understanding typography,
so cool,
understanding the intent behind the design, like what is the point of what you are trying to say. If you pick a quote like, a quote from Jaws, what are you trying to say with that quote? What is the messaging? Not, well, I'm making a sample that's using this tool because you told me to. Like, no, what are you trying to say visually? Well, I don't know if I like this. Fine, then find a quote you do like that you're passionate about, and turn that into something meaningful.
Make it,
right. So we have a lot of discussion around the design from that perspective that leads to pieces like the ones that I'm showing here. I could show a whole bunch of these pieces from students, and I think there might be a couple in the video compilation. If not, they're you can find them on any of these students' portfolio pages, because I usually see these pop up in the portfolio class.
Fruit Loop says, nice to see a preview of the MACA 2300 for when the semester starts. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun. I love that class. I got it from Brian Sorial. I used to teach it decades ago. It was one of the first classes, mass rendering class, and the 2300 class, whatever we called it then. We might have called it that then. Were the first two classes back in like 2002 that I started teaching at Macomb. So it's great that I was able to kind of come back and teach that class again after Brian Sorial decided to become a adjunct instructor as opposed to a full-time one.
So I wanted to real quick take a look. So we've been talking about the Media and Communication Arts, which is an incredible program. So obviously we teach illustration, photography, video, motion design, animation, design and layout, and
Video.
also video and web,
Interactive and web. Yep.
all the things. So this is just a sampling of your student motion design samples, and this is
that's fall 23 and winter 24.
okay.
So not this past semester, but the 2 semesters prior. So from last August, so August 23 to May 24.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to share really quick that I think is interesting is when this all started in MACA, you and I, like, we had all these projects that we were kind of collabing on, and like After Effects was like this new thing.
Yep.
Motion design wasn't even a term yet.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because we did have an animation, like a 3D animation area, but this was such a booming thing. But back in the day, we didn't know where it was going yet. Like, there's so many different ways it could steer.
Yeah.
So I was the one that said, because I had an opportunity, our program was expanding, and I could have more classes. So it actually started, of all places, it started in creative imaging and illustration.
Yep.
And I remember saying to you, like, bro, we need a class that's specifically just like, but like, what do we call it? Is it 2D animation? Like, we didn't have motion design. And I think like kinetic type was kind of a term that was, if it wasn't there yet, it was coming soon. Yeah. But that doesn't encapsulate all of it. Not everything revolves around type. There is a huge part of it with that, but that's not everything. So it actually started as just a course that was compositing in 2D animatics. Yeah. And now it's grown into its own specialty. And if you're curious, like, what is this? Like, how is motion design different from 3D animation and everything? Well, check out some of these awesome student samples to see what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Great. I love all their work, and then I'm looking at that piece going, wow,
So cool. So, man, just such incredible, just the variety of things that, that you can do. And I feel like, and this is the reason that it started in creative imaging and illustration is I feel like this is the natural progression of illustration.
Oh yeah.
Of where it was going back then. And then obviously today this is not all of what motion design is, but I feel like if you're really good at art, the next thing is how do you make it move?
Well, if you talk to any business, that's the question that they'll ask of everybody. Doesn't matter what job you're interviewing for. People just automatically in the age of TikTok, like, okay, can you animate?
Yeah.
Like they see your work as a designer. It's why it's motion design. Half of that, terminology is design, because everybody wants to be able to communicate in motion mediums. It's not the fact that you're trying to make a Disney Pixar cartoon. It's the fact that you're trying to communicate your message on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram. And these are all platforms that are best served as motion platforms, And I mean, when you say that and you go Instagram, well, wait a minute, Instagram is a photo platform. Well, it was, but now it's not, or at least it's not only that.
Every platform is trying to do what all the other ones do.
Exactly.
Fruit Loop says, I'm going to be in both of your classes for winter semester, figure illustration 2. Oh, yay! All right. Figure illustration 2 and advanced Photoshop. Yeah. We are going to put you through the ringer. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to do some we're going to do some amazing projects. Points at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I saw one of mine. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Nick Garlock says, I genuinely never knew just how in-depth motion design was until I took Sarkona's class. Yeah. And I really didn't know how complex things until Shawn Sheehan introduced me to character rigging in After Effects.
He did a GUR from Invader Zim. He even revamped it. I can't remember what the context was, but Nick did he had it like his original version that he did when years ago, and then he did it again. Somehow I saw it, and it was both versions were awesome, but it was cool because it's like anything, like the first time you try something new, like Copic markers, right? And then 2 years later, after using them all the time, you come back and show like your learning progress, and it's really cool to see that.
Jade Sterling says, demo reel reminding me I have never finished my heads up display.
The dog Bow Wowzers. I think you got pretty close, right? I thought that one, I think you were almost done with, if I remember. I'm going back several years now. And
Nick Garlock says, Jade Sterling, insanely relatable.
Yep.
Awesome. So you've got a bunch of these. What are these all about? These are amazing.
So there's a lot of images there. I wanted to include, stuff that I've been working on recently because, I figured that's what, if I were a student, let's say, that's what I would want to know. What are you doing in the industry? Yeah, where does all your knowledge come from, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously you can, do your, due diligence online and look up stuff. And see where we've been as instructors, the jobs that we've had. I don't work with all the same clients that I used to, but this is actually one client in particular that I still work with in the realm of 3D. So these are all 3D models that I'll typically make. I use Cinema 4D. There's different apps for 3D. I'm a big C4D guy. Because it's what a lot of motion designers kind of gravitated toward. People who used After Effects. We've been saying that term a lot. That's a tool used in animation, as a lot of you know. So I got into Cinema 4D because of After Effects. I had a buddy who is having his 40th birthday party. Remember Ryan Maffesoli?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Years ago, he was like, Shawn, you got to use Cinema 4D if you're going to be a motion designer. Being the smart guy that he is. And I'm going back a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, maybe I'll look into it. Then it wasn't super popular like it is now. It wasn't connected to Adobe. But I listened to him because he's one of those people, like, how you meet people and you should always take their advice. Like Sean Sarkona is one of those people. You are with your students, right? Deanna, when you hear people, not for me, I don't listen to my wife. I do whatever I want because I'm a free thinker. But other people could listen to her and get good advice. So I listened to him. I jumped into C4D, and I love that software. There's better programs. Maya's great. Blender's great. A couple of people in the live stream mentioned Blender. It's free, and that makes it awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm just a C4D guy. So I do a lot of C4D stuff on the side, which helps me because it makes me still work with clients. It's like the
Yeah.
Sick Magazine stuff. I like doing this when I can,
Sure.
even though I don't want to let that interfere with, obviously what we do
School,
at school.
of course, but it keeps you relevant. It
Yeah.
keeps you when students are asking questions.
Right.
How do you command prices? What should I
Exactly.
put in my, it just
Exactly.
keeps you
and these
keeps you
pieces,
busy.
like I do onesie twosie pieces as well, but this stuff, these are the returning clients type work, like the bread and butter stuff that I'll play around with on the side. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff like that. Not as super exciting per se, but it's a lot of fun, like
it's cool.
Realistic stuff. Like when I do this, it helps me later when I decide, well, I'm going to model a lightsaber hilt today, my own version. So I'm going to do that and then maybe make an animation out of it. Because I've kept my hands, let's say, in the theoretical mix, playing around with these tools, there's not as you probably already figured out, like there's not a big jump from those cylinders to the cylinders involved in creating something like a fun lightsaber handle or a special, spaceship design. So, keeping at it, long story short, practicing, using your clients. I had a boss years ago who used to say, learn on the client's dime.
Yeah.
Like take whatever you're doing for your clients, take it as seriously as you can.
Oh, yeah.
And learn, how to up your skills, your abilities while they're paying you.
Yeah.
Right. Instead of paying for a school that makes you do certain things so that you grow your skills.
Yeah.
Allow your client to pay you to grow your skills. So
I feel like, it's interesting because, and not to knock the education and all of the great juice that we have to share.
Sure.
But it's kind of like driving a car.
Yeah.
You go through driver's training, you read through the manual, everything, but you don't really know the amount of learning that you do when you actually get in a car, turn on the ignition, take your foot off the brake and start moving.
Exactly.
Man, boy, are you learning now. And it's the same once you get into the industry industry, we try to prepare you, but like when it's real and like, it's not homework anymore. No. Like I feel like we do a pretty good job educating, but your real education comes the minute it's for real. Yeah. Like it's on like Donkey Kong.
EJ Hassan-Fratz, who he's a teacher at School of Motion. He has his own site, iDesign, EYE, and then he spells design in a funky way. I love his name. I'll never forget it because it always reminds me of HR Puffin Stuff or something, like back in the old years ago days. But EJ would always compare his teaching and the industry learning that he does to video game playing, right? Like you can read the manual, you can read the cheat book, right? You can go through and see where the maps are supposed to be that take you to these places and where the secret items are hidden. But sometimes you just got to put the book down, grab the controller and play the game. Like you can't just look at the manual and allow that to carry you through the process. You have to get involved. Mm-hmm. And it's the exact same thing. Like no instructor can tell you everything because instruction is not the whole part of the educational process. Part of it is what you're saying, practical learning through trial and error.
Yeah. Real quick, and Jade Sterling has a comment here, but do you know who Chris Doe is?
Yeah.
From the future?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's from the Future podcast. Yeah. He's awesome.
So do you know, I don't know him, but we were both students at Art Center at the exact same time.
Oh my God.
But he was obviously in the design area. I was in the illustration area, and he just would have been another,
awesome.
Another kid there
I
like me.
Him
but
all the time in the portfolio.
Brilliant. He's so
awesome.
He's so
great
brilliant.
Name for it. Like, what's he from? Like, he's from the future.
Yeah. Well, it's future FUTR.
Without the E on the end.
Yeah, or
he drops
UR.
the E.
Yeah.
It's too cool for that last E. Get that out of here. It's not useful.
Jade Sterling says, I did get the heads-up display design done, but I never finished the final animation showing the elements of it. Surgery got in the way, and I never got back to it, basically, but I still think about it every 6 months. You should be thinking about it every single day. I'm just kidding.
Every
6 minutes.
Just good seeing her name. Like, I love it. It's like
she's
so Christmas presents.
Everything she does, everything she touches, like musical. She's so good.
Follow her on it. It's great.
Same with this scallywag. Here he is.
Gerald Goen. I remember Ryan telling you about Cinema 4D. So funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Marilyn Michelson Clark says hands-on learning is huge.
Amen.
Absolutely. Yeah, so these are wild. I mean, they're like photorealistic, like really,
these
really
are all
cool.
product shots for the company that we used to do this. There was a studio called the Quintet Group, and I worked there for years. Deanna and I both. They've been around. They were around for like 25 years before they shut down. 26 years, maybe longer. It might have been 28 years, actually, now that I think about it. I don't remember exactly. It was 26 or 28. The owner passed away, sadly, in 2022, Brian White.
Brian White.
And the company basically decided to just shut down without Brian. It was just kind of like, one of our clients before the shutdown was, related to this work. So when we were shut down, because at that point I was already freelancing for Quintech, our client contact reached out to me and was like, can I still talk to you about this type of work? I'm sorry to hear about Quintech, because he loved the place, loved Brian, our guy Paul. And so we just picked up the work and kept doing it. These are all straight out of the render queue, I should say, too. Like Deanna comes in, because her and I kind of team tackle this work, and she'll be the Photoshop brains behind these pieces too. She'll go through and make sure that they feel more realistic. They already feel pretty good now, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
But she comes in and sprinkles that secret sauce on there.
Secret sauce. Nice.
And then these become product images for their catalogs, for their online stores, especially images like this and that robot arm. I have enough time because we work them together. So it's like an assembly line. I'll create the render. And this is how we used to do it when we worked in the studio.
Yeah.
And then she would take the renders, all the layers that we would export, and then create the final composite. So she'll take something like this and fix the edges of the cardboard so they look more like cardboard.
It's been cut open.
Yeah, because right now it looks a little bit fake, where if you really look at it, like from a distance, you go, oh, that looks kind of real. But she goes in there and gives it that sparkle that makes you buy it.
Yeah. So we're running overtime, and I hope that's okay. So we're going to skip fan mail. I did want to chat, and I want to take a look at anything else you want to share. So I've got this segment every week where I share something that I did when I was a boy, and I've been saving this for you because I thought you would find this hysterical.
Awesome.
Because you're very technical and you know all the stuff. So I have I have a stack. My mom saved a stack of my art and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So here's what I have this week.
This
is so funny.
This is the best stuff.
This is a report that I did in 8th grade, 7th grade.
Yeah.
Getting in shape with computers.
Nice.
Now keep in mind this is mid 80s, right? So I just wanted to share. I thought if anyone will appreciate this, it's you. So some of this is just cut out of a magazine and
table
taped
of
in.
contents?
But look at the contents. I put the little the things on this side. I don't even know what that's called, but it almost looks like the digital.
Yeah, no, it's
like the Commodore 64.
I was going to say that or
something.
Coleco, not ColecoVision, Commodore. I think that's what it was.
So all I did is I just cut stuff out. I think I had a magazine of computers, but then I drew this little computer thing here.
Cool.
This chart shows you how to become computer literate.
Oh my god, that's so great.
So funny.
IBM PC.
And then more it's funny, the 80s, more and more people are ... using computers, buying computers, making computers, selling computers.
This is, but
I drew this
I like
Atari.
the Atari logo. That's some retro chic right there.
If you like Atari computers, this article is for you.
You did this when you were a kid.
Yeah. Well,
Christ.
I mean, this is when a computer, they would have one in the classroom.
The only thing we had was Matthew Broderick and War Games. That was the you didn't this is pretty. What's the guy? I want to say Nostradamus. This is a little bit like Nostradamus here.
But look at these are so funny. So I drew this computer playing it it's got a piano instead of
MIDI interface.
And it says this article says that some computers can tell what note is being played on a piano.
Yeah.
And computers don't even have ears.
That's awesome. And they can find your home now, apparently.
In this article, learn about RAM, bytes, bits, and chips. I don't know who this little military computer is, but the Atari 800 XL, I think this is what I had as a kid, is a great computer. Some of it ROM functions include a built-in BASIC. I think that's the language that back then. What is a robot? What do robots have to do with computers? Robots are computers. And look at R2D2.
That is perfect.
Boing.
Oh my god.
What is this? Oh, this.
I just bought Deanna a little robot companion for Christmas. The little, what do they call it? Elic or something like that. Like it's a thing. Like it sits on your desk and you can talk to it because apparently she has no friends. So,
oh my gosh.
Sorry, honey.
Look at this. This is crazy. This ad from the newspaper shows a computer that fits in a briefcase.
Good Lord. What do they think of
my
next?
gosh.
Oh my God.
Wow, these kids invented a game that predicts who will win a football game. Look at this, computer's wearing a football helmet.
So funny.
So old school.
This person put their face
Computers,
inside that book.
Computer simulations control trucking. Look at it. Computer simulations and controls truck cooling systems. So clever me, I put keep on trucking with computers.
That looks like the Cybertruck almost.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, I thought
I
you'd
think
get a
you can
kick out of
sue
that.
Elon
And then
for
look
that.
at bye. Oh, look
That's
at this.
awesome.
1985. And I spelled copyright wrong.
But that's cool. That's 85. Like there nothing. What did we have? We didn't have shit. It was literally
My
Matthew
friends
Broderick
had
war
VIC
games.
20 and maybe a Commodore
right.
64 then.
But it was like that. What was the Cloak and Dagger, movie? There was some computer nonsense in that.
Wait,
and that was
there's
it.
a Cloak and Dagger movie?
There was Cloak and Dagger. It was Daphne
Marvel
Coleman.
hero?
No,
Oh.
That was a show though. They made a TV show out of that. It was on one of the streaming platforms. I
Oh,
don't
okay,
remember
so
which
it's
one.
recent. All right.
But yeah, like Freeform.
Oh.
So not a streaming platform. It was one of the Disney platforms. Freeform. So
Nick Garlock says, Matt, any chance you'll be updating your Indiana Jones map poster now that a movie and game have released?
Oh yeah.
I'd buy one. Well,
Yeah,
Nick, I would hook
yeah.
you up. At the moment, Disney does not have plans to really, despite the fact that they had the movie, which is probably the final one, at least with Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
and the video game, which looks amazing. I've heard it's
I want
amazing.
to play that.
The Great Circle or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep, that looks
Um,
good.
There hasn't been any plans, and if they want me to redo it or add to it, I would be all about it. But at the moment, Disney is actually kind of slowly moving, except for video games, which continue to sell well. They're kind of moving away from it. But if and
There's
when,
some, like weird juju with the licensing too, because like some of the movies went over to Paramount or something.
yeah, and
like-
also recent up until a couple months ago, Disney Plus had all the Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
And now they're all gone.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
think they're probably over
I
on
think they're over
Paramount.
at Paramount or something.
No,
or
so-
something like that. I heard about.
Or they have all of them except for the new one.
Yeah, Dial of Destiny is still because
yeah.
that's an actual whatever Lucasfilm Disney movie or whatever, however it works.
Yeah.
Because I remember hearing there was a bunch of licensing weird things with that.
So real quick, let's chat about Macomb College. We have a new semester. Actually, I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but my week 0 begins tomorrow.
Oh.
No, wow. Okay.
I open mine a week early so they can get their
Nice. No, that's
supplies
good.
and do other things.
Yep.
We obviously have a meeting tomorrow,
Yep.
but
Yep.
a
Get
secret
together.
teacher meeting. But anyway, so real quick, our building is updated. This is maybe I shouldn't say where we're having our secret meeting tomorrow. But there's a little upstairs
Come on in.
area up there that's
Just
really
don't tell
cool.
anybody.
Yay.
Yay.
This is when it wasn't opened up yet.
Yeah.
The stairs actually went to nothing. But here is a look at the digital design classroom.
Yep,
This is
that's
Deanna's
Dee's class.
room.
Yep.
This is
Hey.
a look at Sean's room.
Yep.
With some incredible digital art there. This is back before it was finished, but this is the video studio.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that big, but it is
It's
huge.
huge.
Oh
No,
my
it's
gosh. It is
The stuff Yozi's doing in those classes too. Good God, it's great.
Nick Garlick says, sweet, I'll see you all at the secret meeting tomorrow.
Awesome. Don't forget the secret handshake.
This is the figure
Hey.
illustration room. But real quick, before we wrap things up, is there anything you wanted to you guys look so fancy there now. You need to come by and say hi if you haven't or if you have even already, Jade, you need to come by and say hi.
Anytime.
Check
Come
out
on
the
in.
new facilities.
Yep.
Real quick though, is there anything else that you wanted to share? You brought like some books.
I brought
and
some
things.
I brought a few things. I'll do this quick. I got into a couple of things recently that I've been excited to play around with. I'm gonna be doing this more. 3D printing is something that I wanted to get into. My daughter actually got me these little guys from a convention that her and Deanna were at. They, crochet.
Yeah.
So they have these booths at these various shows.
The arms even move.
Right. And I'm a nut for Lego and Star Wars. So my daughter saw these pieces and she was like, I'm going to get them. And they're 3D printed. And I, love 3D printing.
Darksaber.
And this kind of went in tandem with a really cool bamboo 3D printer that Deanna got me for Christmas, because I've been wanting to get, it's the stuff you can do with filament, stuff you can do with resin now, depending on what you get into with 3D printing. It's insane. So that's an area that I'm going to be playing around with more and more. I just thought these pieces were fun because they show the capabilities of, what you can now do at home. Like this may not seem like much to most people today that are, of the right age. But if you're a little bit older, this was something that was not even a concept, right? Like you can make your own anything, depending on what it is with the right knowledge. I didn't make these either, by the way. I don't want to take credit. I don't know the name of the artist that did these, because this was a gift given to me from my daughter for Christmas. She purchased this at, I think it was the Trinity Lutheran, like Comic-Con show that was recently there. So I don't know the artist that made them. I'm pretty sure some of this came from digital files that you can purchase or find that are what's the term, out there for grabs. Long story short,
open source.
Open source, yeah. So I thought, but this is exactly how these figures are basically built in Lego form for the most part. And I like the fact that they're like this part of this is painted, but part of it's also the filament, different colors, because you can do that now. You can print in multiple colors. You can do all sorts of stuff with this type of technology. And the neat thing is it's hands-on. This is something else that Deanna and Sean were doing at the college with the Glowforge printer, where they were making these really cool, like wood cut design elements. Like Sean every semester has a contest now, at the very least in the fall, where students can submit digital designs, and then the Glowforge printer will print them out in like wood cut. So you can actually have them. Deanna's been doing all sorts of fun stuff in the same manner with like wood and plastics, where she's designing or taking student designs of logo design elements and stuff of that ilk and making keychains and all these fun little things. Because it's becoming more chic now to build out these types of, cool handcrafted elements. Like you're seeing more and more of that. It's why I brought some of this material that I brought here. These books we talked about, these were the SICK magazine ones.
Yeah.
You can get, like, there used to be, this is again one of those things that we never thought we could do. These are portfolio books that were made through independent printing. So online through a company like Blurb, you build a layout, a digital layout or a design. You send this art to them, and then they send you a book. So this is all portfolio artwork that I, put into this book. This is from like 5 or 6 years ago. So the new one is like 3 times this size, and I got to get it. I got to finish the printing process with Blurb. But long story short, this, feels like a very professional book. This was unheard of. Matt has been publishing portfolio books that he sells, and they're brilliant and beautiful. But I remember the first couple that you did, and that was a nightmare to get them done, because you had to go through, you had to find a print company, you had to figure out who was going to distribute, you had to figure out, how the job from a like supplies perspective was going to, be taken care of. There was an outlay of cash up front so that you probably could have all that right. Now, like I could, if I wanted to, I could, go to a site like Blurb, have them set up an independent store, and it's print to order, which is just like, that's insane.
Yeah.
It's like, take the concept behind this to print, right? And then apply it to anything that you want to put out. So if you, like, I remember back in the day, you made, like, this again could be a whole nother show, but when you were making comics, there was the independent pieces, and then there were the ones that were licensed. And Alizarin's Journal, I always go back to. It's like nowadays you probably could get that successfully published independently, just on your own.
Right.
You know, if you wanted to go back and go through that process because of how things exist now versus when they did back in the day. I brought these other books only because one of the things, I've been into comics again, and there's been a resurgence behind a lot of this stuff. And these books, I'm not trying to get people to read comics, but I always talk to students about getting inspired.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to be an artist, you need to look at art. Right. And this is
For sure.
one of the things that I always like to do. You know, I'll go to the comic shops and I'll buy books, and this can be expensive. Right. But these books, I picked up this book for about $4.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
amazing. It's a hardcover.
It's a hardcover. Yeah. I picked up this one for exactly $4. And this is, if you know anything about Marvel, this is the Midnight Suns run, which is one of those cool like event elements of the story. Right. I picked up this one. I left the price tags on these. And this is all from Ollie's. Right. And there's stores now that you can go to like Ollie's that'll have whole sections, like at the Ollie's that I went to. There's like a whole area in the store, this big warehouse store, that's just walls and walls of graphic novels. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the book that I wanted to show is not my art book, but this is the best of Frank Cho, who's an artist from Marvel. And he's done all sorts of great stuff. And again, for $5, not, you know, what this was listed as, you know, which was $20 when it came out, US. Okay, you get this for $5.
It's amazing.
Right. And here's your reference catalog, right? Because as an artist, this is what you need. You need a dead file. You need a reference file. I mean,
he's
you
amazing.
know, look at just, I don't even have to say anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody's seeing that. It's going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not just saying this about Frank Cho either.
Yeah.
So these references exist, and they're out there, and they're easy to find. I know a lot of people go, well, yeah, but dude, there's this thing also called the internet, right? And there's Google. Anytime I need something, I can go there and find it. And the problem with that, not that that's a bad thing, because I love Google, I love the internet, I use it all the time for everything that I do. But the problem with using it for everything is the internet only finds what's already in your head. It's the same problem with AI, right? It doesn't think, it takes what already exists and it hands it back to you.
Yeah, and it doesn't have this resolution.
Right. Well, no, it doesn't have the resolution, it doesn't have the quality, it doesn't have the detail, but it also doesn't have its own ideas, right? When you walk through a library, when you walk through a bookstore, when you walk through a museum, you're seeing other people's interpretations of ideas that you've never had before.
Mm-hmm.
That creates ideas that weren't there before because the stimulus wasn't there. So new ideas, creative ideas, ideas that excite us, they come from the material that we haven't experienced before. If you're doing a search on Google, right, then you're only going to find the things that you are already looking for, which means you're trying to think of something that already surprised you, and you're trying to find it again. That's not inspirational.
Well, even worse is if you just look up Frank Cho. First of all, this is curated, not just Frank Cho. This is Marvel. Everything in here is going to be Frank Cho, and everything's going to be Marvel. Everything's going to be great resolution. Right. But if you type in Frank Cho Marvel in Google, you're going to get some of it. Yeah. Some of it, the resolution isn't going to be great. Right. But you're also going to get every knucklehead wannabe artist that puts hashtag Frank Cho because they either wanted Frank Cho to see it, or maybe it's Frank Cho inspired, but it's crappy artwork. It's going to end up there, and there's going to be stuff that isn't Marvel, and a lot of stuff that isn't even Frank Cho is going to end up in there. It'll be Frank something else or someone else Cho, and then you're going to have to sift through. A lot of people might not even know what was really Frank Cho and what wasn't. And so it is what it is.
The thing that's really cool too is the fact that like this is top shelf, right? Mm-hmm. Like this right here, and you don't have to like Frank Cho for me to say this. I'm just saying like this concentrated element of information, all of this art together, you would call this like the top shelf liquor. And then the internet would be your well liquor because it's all there. It does the same job, but it's not as fun. It's not the cleanest, smoothest journey. It's not the results that we want optimally, right? It's not that smooth finish. It's not that perfect version. It's that dime store version because you're getting anything and everything. You might get a few of these images like that, say when you do a search for like Frank Cho, but you're going to find what the internet thinks is important for you to see, not what the creator wanted you to see, right? Or the people that actually had an investment in the material. And more important than that, you want to find ways to get inspired about what you're doing. If it's motion, you want to get inspired about motion. If it's art that's, still art, you want to find ways to be inspired about that. And the best way to do that is to try and experience the medium outside of your own knowledge base. Like, we all have things that we like. I love, like, Batman, right? But if I only read Batman books, then I'm missing out on all these other stories that I might enjoy if I were to allow myself, right? Or, take it a step further. Maybe you go to the museum, maybe you haven't been to the DIA in a long time. You just walk through the DIA looking at all of the different exhibits and displays. That's going to grow your knowledge of art and design. It's going to make you creative. And when you talk to companies trying to find work, that's what they all say. They don't think about, like, we talk about artists because as instructors, we look at other artists that we work with and other teachers the same way that sports professionals look at other players, right? So it's different to us. But to artists breaking into the business, what everyone will tell you is they don't get inspired by other artists as much as they do by other genres, things they're not used to seeing, things that go outside
the box,
the Google image search that they would do based on the things that they already know.
Yeah.
That's when you come up with that catharsis that allows you to really develop something fun. So
what I think is neat is that it kind of goes both ways, where a lot of times I'm telling those of my students who are more tangible and not into digital art, I'm telling them, in addition to your portfolio, you need to think about a demo reel. And they're like, why would I do tangible drawing? Because it's outside the box. There's so many opportunities to share your art in a digital way. But I love how it also works the other way, where if you're a digital artist, why not consider putting stuff in a book that prospective clients can flip the pages? A lot of digital artists would say, why would I do that? Digital artists don't put their stuff in, like, they don't print their stuff. Their stuff is digital for the screen. That's exactly why you should do it, because you would stand out. Instead of just emailing someone or giving them a flash drive, give them a book where they can actually flip through the pages and see what the final product is going to look like when it's printed.
J. Scott Campbell just did a quick video where he was talking about layouts for Marvel, because he's still working.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how now when he creates, and a lot of the people that he works with creates, they will, take their ideas and put them on their phones before they start to flesh them out. They'll even send images via their phones to the editors, and they'll pick covers that way now, because they want to know that it looks good small, which is a reversal. Because back in the day, it was all about all that cool, like, detail that you would work in, like Jim Lee, you know, like how much sauce can you get in there? And now it's kind of the opposite, because people are looking at everything, through this lens, right? Alex Ross has a demo reel. I mean, Alex Ross has a demo reel right there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Alex Ross is a traditional painter. He always has been, always will be.
Yeah.
What the hell is he doing with a demo reel? He's trying to communicate on YouTube.
Yeah.
I see a lot of artists that are legit, awesome still artists that are using video as a way to support their own efforts in trying to be more well-known. Joe Corney, who I ran into at, I forget which Comic-Con. Recently, he was at Motor City, and I oh my God, Joe! And I bought a bunch of his prints. He's doing stuff with Photoshop now that he never did before. But he used to swear off.
That's the thing. We had to go to Disney Springs to get the Ray print.
Oh yeah. I've known Joe a long time, well before he was digital and stuff. Absolutely. Yep. Colin Polly says, you guys got all the cool stuff after I left.
Come back, man.
Jade Sterling says, I will have to check out the new place. I forgot they did all those renovations. Maybe I'll bring pizza to the secret meeting. Oh my gosh.
Only if it's secret pizza. Right?
There you go.
It has to be pizza that knows the secret handshake.
Premise Land
Secret
says,
pepperoni.
it's getting pretty busy here. I shall wish you a good night and a happy new year if I do not see you by then. Thank you, Ted. Rock and roll. Woohoo. Anthony Fada says, I'm mad I didn't get to see the Star Wars exhibit at the DIA a few years ago.
Yes, same here.
I went.
I missed that one too.
Anthony LaFada says, I had a friend nudge me to print one of my photos and get it displayed at the Dirty Show.
Nice.
So now I have something that is going to be in the show this coming February. That is awesome. You know, I did the first 3 Dirty shows.
Yeah.
But it was kind of back then, and maybe it's not this now. In fact, I don't think it is now, but it was kind of a clique of artists where it was 3 artists. And they were kind of just really featuring their stuff. And they weren't really featuring my work, which was kind of whatever. But then I think they were upset because Juxtapose Magazine did a thing for the show and they featured my artwork in it. Things just were kind of weird. And then I just that wasn't really... not that I have anything against the Dirty Show, but that's not what I want to be. No, that's not what I'm known for.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, but that's great, Anthony. That is super cool. I wish I could get more of my work printed. It's definitely not that now. I went last year and so many different artists hung up. Yeah, it's definitely evolved. I've been there, I think maybe 10 years ago. I stopped by to check it out.
It's become a pretty big event. It's really legit.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Super cool. So awesome classroom. There's the figure classroom. So this is fun. This is the Australian breakdancer that I drew.
Champ.
This was interesting though, because I drew this in the room that's got the printers and all that stuff. We have students just drawing all kinds of stuff.
Wall. Yeah.
So one week, a student wrote a message, something like, and it didn't seem like it was a joke though. It was really serious, like, how dare you? The Olympics are satanic and da 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 da.
Oh no!
And then a week later, erased the whole thing, which I thought was, I don't know. So I'm glad I got a picture of
the whole board.
Not the whole board, just the Australian breakdancer. I don't know. So I went, but
weird. Okay.
Anyway, next, Sean, thank you so much. Next time, just so you guys know, Friday is the release day. We are having a marathon from 8 in the morning all the way until midnight with Eric Steele, who plays Aladdin.
Wow.
So I'm sure people are at work and doing their thing, but if you guys are hanging out, pop in and say hello. We're going to have a release day marathon reminding everyone to watch Aladdin 3477 on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, plus awesome. Fandango at home, wherever you watch your streaming movies. James, you're going to be hanging out with us all day.
I'm going to need an extension cord for this thing.
Yeah, an extension cord, and you're going to need some more of those. I know you're up late at night, so you're going to need some more of those coffee shots or whatever.
More coffee juice.
But it's going to be a good time. So hang out with us on Friday. That's and then awesome. I believe who's hanging out a week from today is our Wolf Baldessaro, who plays the Klepto King in the film. So you're going to get to meet him a week from today.
That's cool.
On the live stream lounge.
Eric, we're going to need a Klepto runner for snacks.
See you guys soon. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you'll come this year to see my piece. If I can make it out, I will. Absolutely. Awesome. Jade Sterling says, have Happy New Year's, everyone, and a great premiere. Maybe I'll stop by the marathon stream. Please do. It'll be all day on Friday. We'll be hanging out. And Eric Steele is going to be with us on Friday. The Livestream Lounge is an official podcast on YouTube. Yay. So if you go to my channel, you just look under the live tab. You can find all of these episodes and watch them anytime. Thank you very much. Woohoo! Sean, thank you so much. Oh my God, that was awesome.
This was fun.
I hope it isn't as long next time. I hope you come back again. I know you're busy and you got all kinds of stuff going on. Also, Deanna, I'd love to have her on. Yosi, everyone. And then Sean Sarcona's been has been on, like, usually before the academic year begins, which is awesome. So and I can't wait. So until next time, thank you, gang. Woohoo! Yay!
Whoops!
I accidentally pushed the wrong thing.
Like that video.
And where is the outro? Oh, here we go. See you guys. Woohoo! Oh, it didn't go. Woohoo! Oh my gosh. Why isn't it playing? Oh, end stream. I'm clicking the wrong thing. There we go.
You just gotta cut it now.
End stream. Oh, here we go. Stay in the studio. Did you enjoy class today? If so, give me a like. If there's something you'd like to see me cover in a future video, let me know what that is in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I've also got a video series called Sketchbook Challenge that helps your drawing, creativity, and fill up an awesome looking sketchbook. Plus, there are videos on You Can Draw Star Wars, Hollywood is Dead, and sneak peeks at the Aladdin 3477 motion picture trilogy. In order to not miss any new videos, hit that notification bell. Sharing is caring, and it's great to inspire your friends. Share this video on social media and your friends will share awesome art tips they find with you. If you're on Instagram, you can follow me at Matt_Bush_Instagram. I'll see you back in the classroom soon. Don't be tardy.